What was it? What was any certain genre or no?
I don't know.
Star
I can't.
Wars, G.I. Joe.
I have no idea. No idea. We'll figure it out though. What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. What up? What's good, everybody? Welcome to the sixth element of hip hop. I'm your host, Reno Noir. This is your co-host over here, Stu Dog. What's good, Stu?
What's good? Peace.
Crack-a-lackin'. Yeah, man, we got a great show for y'all today, man, because we just watched a fucking great show yesterday. House of the Dragon episode 4 was bananas.
It was. It really was good. It was, you know what, Reno? It was it was dramaful good. Like it was just drama good. Like it wasn't action good, like swashbuckling swords, Joker's jumping off of trees, ninjas coming out the ground, ninja magic, dragons blowing. It wasn't none of that.
Writing. This was quality storytelling good.
It was like straight good soap opera, like the best, like Luke and Laura soap opera type.
Yes, this was on the level of Game of Thrones, man. This episode made me go, okay, this show is like, first I was like, this show is cool. It'll be a neat little show, kind of like Game of Thrones. That'll be interesting. I never expected it, never, even pondered the fact that it could be, as good as Game of Thrones or God forbid better. So, but after this episode, man, this show could be every bit as good as Game of Thrones, and if they don't botch the fucking ending, I'll be the first one to say it. It could be better than Game of Thrones, and that's coming from the Game of Thrones guy, right? I'm the guy that has all the books and hardcover and soft cover. Corey Adger, what's good?
Corey Adger, the man, the myth, the legend in the building.
Oh wait, your other wife said you better give her a shout out, a shootout.
Oh, shout out,
not a shootout.
Shout out to my other wife, Dawn Adger. Shout out to her.
Who's the other wife?
Man, it's don't worry. It's long story. I'll tell you later.
All right.
But shout out to the wife. Yeah, Dawn Adger.
Word.
Man, I don't want to get it deep. You know what I'm saying? We have an abusive relationship, but it works.
We ain't trying to make no noise, man.
Yeah.
But
and we only fight because we love each other.
That's right. It's fan. You fight those who you love the most. That's just how it goes.
Right.
But all right, so here we go, man. I just want to
break it down. We're gonna break it down for us.
In the dig.
Break it down for us, please.
Break it down. All right, all the way down.
Break down the drama. Break down the drama for their mamas. All up in here, you know what I mean? Because that's what Game of Thrones was. There was a lot of drama going on.
We're gonna bring.
And I'm not gonna. I watched, and I actually, I watched. I think you know what? Because you told me that one time. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna give you props for props to do. I remember you said watch the Mandalorian back to back. You was like just binge watch that joint. It's 10 times better. And so I did it, and I was like, damn, you're right. It was like just watching. It made a big difference.
Big difference.
And it was much better. It was much better when I watched the 2 episodes back to back than watching, like watching one at a time. Right. Like it had much more meaning for me.
Oh yeah, because always. So that's what you did with House. That's what you're saying.
I just did that. Yeah, today. I just did it today. I just watched 2 episodes back to back.
Bing bing.
And I was like, damn. So but this is the thing, when I watched it, was it episode 3? When I watched that, and then I went and watched the next one. The last one made so much more sense. Like the last one made so much more sense to me.
Right.
And then I watched the trailer for episode 5, and I was like, damn. I was like, yo, it made me more hyped to watch it now because I went straight from one to the other. Because in the confines of a week, you kind of forget and you kind of like go off and your mind gets kind of you get I don't know you just get distracted. But break it down though. Break
Mm.
it down.
Yeah,
Break
yeah.
it down.
I got you.
And
I
I'm gonna
got
back
you.
you up. Break it
So
down. I'm
Norrin
gonna back
Rad,
you up.
yeah. Norrin Rad's right. She is not 14. She is 22 years old. Talking about the
That's
actress
true.
that plays Rhaenyra. Uh, and she's a revelation, man. I'm gonna tell you something. She's carrying the show on her back, and the worst part about it is when the time jump happens later this season, she's gonna be out, and it's gonna be this new actress playing her as the older. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
The Werewolf by Night. We watched that the other night. We did that Saturday. I'm loving the series, Corey. Me too. And so, but yes, some very stomach turning moments, some real crazy shit. I mean, when we say that, this episode was great drama, great writing, very, stakes are high, and some real powerful shit. So at least 4 years have passed, all right, at this point, since the death of Balon Targaryen. That's remember the heir for a day, Rhaenyra's younger brother that was supposed to take the line of succession. They gave it so an event that opened the succession vacuum on House of the Dragon. So the Queen, Alicent Hightower, has given birth to a son, and this is now the eldest son and first in line to the throne. Uh, so so now with this new child, okay. Meanwhile, the king, Viserys, Patty Constantine, who's by the way killing it, playing just the biggest pussy, and that's what he's supposed to be doing, killing it. He's getting older, and develops a totally nasty looking lesions and shit on his back and his arms. His fingers are falling off. It's an obvious portend for a diseased kingdom on the edge of civil war. Stu will be right back. Episode 4 keeps the action right around 116 AC. All right, 116 AC, which is after Conquest. With Princess Rhaenyra is now about 18 years old in episode 4. So she wasn't 14 or anything still. This has been a 4-year time jump. She's now 18. And then the series is expected to jump forward in time another 15 years in the coming episodes, and that's when they'll have to replace her as an actress, but she can still play 18. Obviously, she's 22, so she's 18 right now. The episode unfolds like an incestuous smorgasbord coming of age saga, very Game of Thrones, very Targaryen, and the literary genre often features a first sexual experience for the protagonist, whose development frames the overall posture of the story, often speaking to the loss of one's innocence, basically, and the entertaining or entering of the adult world. And while Game of Thrones marked this moment with sexual violence, you had Daenerys' forced betrothal to Drogo, that she wasn't down for at first. Eventually she ended up worshiping him, but at first she basically got raped. But so House of the Dragon chooses to mark the occasion with, well, whatever the fuck is happening between Rhaenyra and Daemon, her uncle. Was it a power move? Was it just raw desire? Was it consensual? Yeah, it was. She was 18. Thing was, they never did it. All right, it was a scene where they were gonna do it, and she was gonna let him do it. They were gonna do it, but he couldn't get it up because I guess he just couldn't bring himself to do it with his niece. I mean, thank God he's not completely out of his mind, so he can't do it. She was willing though, and then she ends up going with what's his name. Yeah, and ends up, she gets it off anyway. But let's get into this. So the Bachelorette of the House of the Dragon, episode 4 recap. You've got so having agreed to at least choose her own husband, right? Or the king says you can pick your own mate, your own husband, rather, your own match, which is a big compromise, especially in that time. You have from not taking any. So Rhaenyra hears a dozen proposals from all these potential suitors. You got this crusty old dude. He's up here trying to tell her that you know her grandmother used to tell him how it was so beautiful over here, whatever. And she's like, my grandmother, so you knew my grandmother, right? And he's like, well, that was 50 years ago. And she's like, yeah, I know. Like you know what I'm saying, you about 90 right now, bro, like kick rocks. Next kid comes up straight prepubescent little kid, and he's trying to tell her that they have the great armies, and he's got the blood of the first men in his veins, and what a great match they would make, and blah blah blah. She ain't having none of it. She's like, I'm not marrying old dudes and little kids, and at one point the little kid gets insulted by someone on the sidelines, and they clowning him because he's a little kid, and little boy pulls his sword out and runs him through. So at that point, Rhaenyra is like, I had enough. I'm out. She bounces. And you know, she's leaving the room with her Kingsguard, Sir Kristen Cole. After two of the suitors, have the little sword fight, and it's clear the episode's gonna hinge on Rhaenyra's marriage choice, a choice that turns out was never to be a choice at all. So on her way back to King's Landing, Daemon, swoops by her ship with his dragon, knocks busts her head open, and she's sitting there with a lump on her dome, but she's still just mesmerized with her uncle. She's just, that didn't bother at all. She's still infatuated. And but he knocks her the ship, and signaling a continued antagonism between her and the king's brother, and all that. So but she's still smitten by the tactic. And in the throne hall, you've got Daemon. He's getting ready or the king. He's got his crown on and his Valyrian broadsword, dark flame, I think it's called. So he's like all like showing of power because Daemon's about to walk in. Salute Slade. What's good, man? Slade. So he knows Daemon's about to walk in, so he's posturing. It's a big dick swinging contest. Daemon walks in. He's got a new crown on, and the crab feeder's axe, right? A sign that his forces have defeated the free cities, mercenary commander. And then he bends the knee to Viserys. He drops down on one knee. He's like, I'm giving you my fealty. Takes his little crown off and all of this. And so the king's like, cool, whatever. We chop it up, and they become cool. So later on, Rhaenyra and Alicent, the queen at this point, used to be her best friend. They seem to sort of mend their own, little issue that they've been having. Again, this has been years that she's been the queen, and so they've kind of dealt with this shit. And they kind of, as they discussed the burden of marriage and childbirth, and Rhaenyra basically breaks it down to her. She's like, yeah, you might be the queen, but I don't want to be a queen. Like all you really do is you're a concubine. Your role is simply to sit there and produce heirs and just have as many kids. She's like, my mom just had kids until it killed her. She's like, I don't really want that life. And so then the next scene, so then she then discusses the same fear with Daemon, whose return to King's Landing is she's questioning. Let me see what he said. What is made of like bone? Yeah, I thought it was made of bone. The king's brother is gonna try to kill the king. Well, that's kind of what this show's about. That's basically what the Civil War is about. So, but so Rhaenyra thinks Daemon's up to no good. She pretty much knows, what's going on. Why is he coming here? Why is he bending the knee and all of this? And she tells Daemon that she doesn't want to marry. She just wants to stay single. And immediately he pressures, pressured in the following scene during a small council meeting. And so you've got the sea snake, right? That's your boy with the dreadlocks. All right, that's Lord Corlys Valerian. He hasn't been in the last episode or two. That's the sea snake. So he's a big part of this story, and after this episode, he's gonna become a big part of the story. A much bigger part of the story. Appreciate that, bro. And so he's not returned to King's Landing since Viserys, you know, basically spit on his offer to marry his daughter. He's like, I'm not gonna marry your daughter. I mean, he was a little girl, and so he was wrong. He was right to not marry her for that reason, but honestly, back then he was dead ass wrong because politically he should have married her and joined their houses. And dude took it as an insult, bounced. But he's still married to the king's wife or sister. Sorry, his wife is the king's sister, so they're still family. But but he's off, and he's controlling the islands and posing to marry his daughter to a noble born member of the free cities. The other side, he's going to marry his daughter to them and sort of bring that, you know make that alliance, and that would undermine the power of the Targaryen rule, and that would be a big deal. So it becomes clear, that Viserys has to, he's got to rectify the decision not to marry Cole's daughter. He's got to do something to make peace with Corlys. um you know so we'll see where that goes. Now, late one night, Rhaenyra receives a message in her chamber telling her to meet outside the Red Keep. So she dresses up as a page, a little boy, like a young page boy. She's wearing a disguise, and she comes out to the Red Keep, and she finds Daemon out there, and the two of them just sort of, take off into the night. She's never been outside of the castle. She's never been in the city. She's never seen what the common folk live like. She has no idea what it's like out there. And so he's taking her through the city streets at night where she's never been, and she's seeing shit for the first time she's never seen. And it's great for us too, because we get to see a side of King's Landing that we never got to see in Game of Thrones. It takes her to Flea Bottom and like the hood, like really, where all the shit goes down, and so we get to see all kinds of cool stuff happening, and then
To the
so
projects.
yeah, the project. So there's
To
a
the
play,
project.
and there's little nightclubs, and brothels and pleasure houses and all this shit down here.
They
So
down there getting it. Yeah, they down there
yeah,
getting it.
they out there, right?
We
So
also Reno had never seen the inside of the castle either before that they showed us in Game of Thrones. That
yeah,
was the
we did.
first time we ever
We
seen it.
always saw inside the castle. What are you talking about?
The one, the
Which
dragon, the
castle?
one with that they were when the suitors were what do you call it? When she had the guys lined up and all the suitors were there
Uh-huh.
presenting themselves. I think that was the first time we ever seen inside that castle too.
Oh, that castle. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was. That was it. Yeah,
yeah.
that was the it was the Baratheons' fortress. And it's like a big round room, so you could tell it's round, and they've described that fortress in the book, Fire and Blood, so we know what it looks like. So you can pretty much bet that was Storm's End, and that's where the Baratheons are from. That's where, in Game of Thrones, Robert Baratheon, the king, and all of that. That's the Baratheons. That's their place where they're from. So, but yeah, yeah, no, we never did see in there. Um,
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of cool shit. Yeah, a lot of cool shit they gave us that we got to see. And there's kind of like a Renaissance festival. I guess it wouldn't be a Renaissance festival to them. It's just a festival. But that's kind of what's going on down there. Little plays and shit like that. So the two join a crowd, and they're watching a parody performance of the royal succession, because we know from Game of Thrones, when the common folk put on plays, it's usually to make fun of the royal family and stuff. Basically, same shit we do now. I mean, people have always done this. So the with the characters are actually playing Daemon Targaryen and Rhaenyra, so they're actually seeing them play them up there, and the crowd, really reacts negatively to Rhaenyra's character, and basically demonstrating that she's not really that popular with the common people. None of the royals are really, but she storms off telling Daemon that she doesn't need the people's approval to rule them. And this may be an important conviction for the civil war that's likely to come Is kind of why they did that. It wasn't very serious, but so then Damon takes off. Rhaenyra follows him, and after being chased by him, there's an uncomfortable predatorial flirtation that's going throughout the festival with them into this brothel in the innermost room where, you know, people are just orgy, just it's just an orgy going on. And Damon starts to kiss Rhaenyra and shit, and then they, you know, they start to undress each other, and Damon's sort of guiding Rhaenyra to the wall, and then turning her around and with her pants down and just going like it's gonna happen. Rhaenyra, however, she turns around and she starts coming towards him, and she's flirting and kissing him, and like, you know, being real aggressive back. And he's like, that makes him mad uncomfortable, and he can't get it up and perform, and he gets mad, and he takes off, and they never do it. And then the scene is juxtaposed with Alicent, the queen, having sex with the king. And she's like, you know, just laying there like taking it. Like she don't want nothing to do with this old bastard on top of him, on top of her. And she's just like Rhaenyra told her, she's just there to produce an heir. She's like a concubine. And so they're switching back and forth between scenes of Alicent, you know, having a you know, concubine type life as the queen, and Rhaenyra having all this fun and adventure and being single and all of that. So they're just kind of showing that at the same time. And, you know, they sort of appear to be, you know, having passion, and she's, you know, not. So basically an indicator that neither one of them wishes to do what is expected of them to strengthen the crown, right? They both want what they want. Um Yeah, Queen was not digging it. So it's unclear if Damon made the move performatively to besmirch Rhaenyra's name and, you know, take her maidenhood and make her basically sullied for to get married to anyone else, you know, knowing that they were being watched and that word would travel throughout the city, you know, or was it out of desire, or was it both? Um, Rhaenyra herself seems to reciprocate and pursue Daemon, but again, if this is out of pleasure or some other motive, it's not really clear at this point. We don't quite know. So after Daemon leaves, Rhaenyra returns to the Red Keep, where she then seduces uh the Kingsguard, Christian Cole, and he's taken a vow, like he's taken a vow of celibacy. He's a Kingsguard. He's supposed to be celibate, and she just basically, you know, seduces him, takes his armor off, and they basically do the deed. And they've also had a flirtation over the last couple episodes, so you kind of see where it was going. And I think she just wanted to get out whatever, you know, she couldn't do with Damon. But again, the scene seems to represent Rhaenyra's rejection of duty, you know, in favor of her own desire, and you know, so obviously there's consequences, right? We've got word travels right through to Otto Hightower's spies, and Otto Hightower is the king's hand, one of my favorite characters. The actors, one of the best actors on the show. He's dope, so really dig his character. And he's the king's hand, and he's loyal, and he's loyal for the king, whether he loves him or not. He's loyal. He does his job. He served two kings before. He's you know, he's not crooked, but he gets the information that Damon and Rhaenyra were coupling, and so he wants to go. You know, he's got to inform the king. He doesn't want to do it, but you know, somebody's got to tell the king. It's best if it comes from him, right? So
Yep.
he goes and he tells the king, and the king doesn't take it well. He's like, that's a lie. You know, where are you getting this? You know, someone tried you, and then he accuses him of using this information to try and ruin her name to sort of bolster his grandson's throne claim. Because remember, the hand of the king, Otto Hightower, is also the father of the queen, and the queen's having a son, and that son is next in line for the throne. Now, if Rhaenyra becomes queen, his grandson doesn't become king, and so the king sees this, and he's like, "Damn, you made all that shit up just to get your, you know, so you could get your way to the throne and all of that," which is bullshit, because he is what he was loyal. You know, Hightower was not doing that shit to be crooked. He was really being genuine. But the king, you know, out of his arrogance or whatever, or denial or whatever, he takes his pen. He's like, "You're no longer hand to the king. I can't trust your fucking judgment." And that's a big mistake, because beside the fact of him, he was a loyal dude. He's also very powerful, and now he's an enemy. Now he's not loyal to the king. So now he's gonna go get with the sea snake, and it's gonna be on. And this show is about a civil war between Valerians and Targaryens and the sea snake and all of that. So he's the king's making all the wrong moves right now. And it's an important thing, because traditions. Rhaenyra also lies to the queen Alicent when he asks. She doesn't lie, because she didn't sleep with her uncle, but she does. She acts like they weren't even gonna. But um Rhaenyra's chastity is essential in marrying her to a noble house. No nobleman is going to marry her, take her as his wife, if she's already lost her maidenhead, if she's not a virgin. And then so Viserys even makes a point that whether or not Rhaenyra slept with Daemon is unimportant. It's about what people think, right? It's about what the perception, and then her marriageability is somewhat threatened, right? And this fallout from her decision seems to reinforce the idea that Rhaenyra made this choice in order to undermine future marriage. So Rhaenyra's lie to Alicent, the queen, however, seems to be more grievous, because as it introduces a potential bombshell moment that could end their friendship, and force the queen to side with another would-be successor. And then later, Viserys has Daemon dragged into the throne room, where he once again banishes him from King's Landing, but not before Daemon proposes a marriage between himself and Rhaenyra. He says, "Marry her to me." And he's fed up with everyone telling him what to do. Viserys tells Rhaenyra that she will marry the sea snake's son, Laenor Valerian, something someone else told him to do last episode. So then, doing what Rhaenyra tells him to do, Viserys relieves Otto Hightower of the position of the hand, convinced that he's overly keen to advance his, own family's, his family's own throne claims. But the episode then basically ends with the Maester delivering a medieval Plan B potion to Rhaenyra. He's like, so we assume that the king believes her, that she didn't do anything with Daemon, and she's, her word is that she didn't do anything with Daemon, and you can't call her a liar and all this. And that's kind of where we all think it is. And then at the end, the Maester comes in with a little vial, and he gives it to her, and she's like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Get rid of anything that maybe you don't want. Maybe something happened. Maybe basically like a morning after pill, right?" So they didn't, maybe they didn't believe her so much, or maybe just in case, like she, and then she's hesitant to take it. And that's sort of where the episode ends. And I wonder if she is pregnant and it's Kristen Cole's baby, and then maybe she won't want to terminate it.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
so
maybe
we.
she might terminate it because the king finds out who's, it could be, it's a lot going
Yeah.
on with that, man. And back in those days, they didn't really take too kind. Women nowadays, you lucky. You lucky women. Y'all get to do what y'all want. Y'all get to wear pants.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You get to, y'all get to
Marry who you
test the
want to
waters
marry.
out. Right.
Yeah.
You get to test the waters out a little bit before you make a final selection on the cow you want to buy. You know what I mean? But back then, no.
No.
Women's was only good for making babies, preferably man child. That's what they wanted, and that's what they went along with. But nowadays, women are lucky. We're lucky.
Oh yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, bro.
You can have test tube babies. Whatever you want, we can do.
Oh, that's what that was. I thought it was a drug so that she wouldn't remember sex with new set partner. Oh, no, not so she wouldn't remember it. Yeah, it was just terminate pregnancy in case. Yeah, the sores were looking worse. His finger looks like it's all frostbitten. I mean, it's completely like black, and I think it was actually gone or crusty or gnarled or whatever. Yeah, he focused on the dagger, the Song of Ice and Fire. That was interesting. He took that Valyrian steel dagger, and I hope I'm wondering because he's like that was Aegon's dagger, and before him this guy, and I'm wondering if they're trying to use and make it say that that's the same dagger from Game of Thrones that
Yeah, I
the
think it is.
assassin used to he was gonna kill Bran with it, and then she
I remember
grabbed
they
it.
told the remember they told the girl's fortune. Was it the frog lady told the girl's fortune when they were down there in the projects.
Yeah, yeah, she did. Yeah, she
And
said
that
something
for
to
and
her.
that right, but remember that's actually something that happened in Game of Thrones because remember Game of Thrones is after this. And remember they
Yeah.
talked about what happened to her in Game of Thrones, but
Yes.
here they don't tell you because they want you to they're gonna act it out.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, it's all this shit is prequel, to game. So yeah, it's all gonna be shit that is gonna happen. So like all the prophecies and all that stuff, it's funny because we already know, what it is. Song of Ice and Fire. They don't even know what Song of Ice and Fire is really. They just know it's something that, maybe it's a take. But
We know, but they don't.
we know, right? But they have no idea.
It was dope
Um,
though. It was really
it
dope. It
was.
was a dope show.
It was dope.
I'm liking it more and more. Like I said, it wasn't dramatic action. It was just the words
Yeah,
and the way it was
that's what
acted out
and that's what Game of
and
Thrones was loved
that
for. The dra the
the drama.
political intrigue and the political posturing and the deceptions and all that, the manipulating. That's
Uh,
what Game of Thrones it wasn't about the action.
because they do it on Dallas, but I don't get it when they do it on Dallas. I don't know why. It's just, they do it on Knots Landing, but I don't get it on there either. It is interesting as Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
nah,
To
because Game
me,
of
it
Thrones
just
is yeah, it's talking about, you know, politics and royal successions and shit like that. But um another thing we didn't cover. So last season, or not last episode of House of the Dragon, episode 3, actually supports some big Game of Thrones theories about the three-eyed raven. We know that, visited by Brandon Stark after a series of dreams, the three-eyed raven was and is one of Game of Thrones most mysterious characters, with viewers not really learning who he was or where he came from. And even when Bran became the three-eyed raven, little was properly explained about his powers, or his role in Westeros's history. But House of the Dragon may, help shed a little light on things. Given that, it's a prequel, it's not really too surprising that it's going to be explaining or adding to Westeros in a particular, House Targaryen history. But how it's done so is. And the biggest reveal so far is Aegon the Conqueror's dream of the White Walkers, which is, a key factor in his decision to invade Westeros in the first place. It's why Aegon came there. And that adds a lot to Game of Thrones, in particular, changing how audiences see the Night King, the White Walkers being defeated with two Targaryens, Jon Snow and Daenerys, playing key roles. But even beyond the White Walkers, there may be some reveals that impact elements of Game of Thrones, like the Three-Eyed Raven. And I love it when we get this kind of stuff, when we see things that we hear about, little stories and lore and stuff, and then we actually get to see it play out. That's my favorite thing. So episode 3, right, sees Viserys talking about a dream of his son. And he also mentions how while many Targaryens are dragon riders, very few have been dreamers, which is an interesting point and drawing attention to the idea of Targaryens who have dreams, does lead to questions and theories about the three-eyed raven. So through his identity in Game of Thrones, it being unconfirmed, it's very likely that he is or was a character named Brynden Rivers, aka Blood Raven. If you read the books, you know who I'm talking about. But Bloodraven was a Targaryen bastard of Aegon IV, who became Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. So the Three-Eyed Raven was this Brynden Rivers, who was the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch at one point. In the books, the Three-Eyed Raven says he was a lord called Brynden Rivers, and that he disappeared beyond the wall one day. So with the notion of Targaryen dreamers being hammered home in House of the Dragon, and then it further fits not only with the Three-Eyed Raven before Bran being Brynden, but also that they had similar dreams. And what led Bloodraven to becoming the Three-Eyed Raven was, well, first he's joining, him joining the Night's Watch. That makes a lot of sense. But what's not answered is, assuming that the theory is correct, why Bloodraven became the Three-Eyed Raven, or Three-Eyed Crow as it is in the book. So assuming the how is similar to Brandon, then it also stands to reason the why is as well. So not only that he was called to this higher purpose, but was through visions and dreams that, came about thanks to his ability as a Targaryen dreamer, which is what they're telling us in the show now. So much like Bran's green sight, they're called green seers in the books. So he suddenly disappeared, right? His Valyrian steel sword with him. And that makes sense if he was following a dream. So knowing that the Targaryens put a lot of stock in dreams, which House of the Dragon doubles down on, and Viserys' mention of Targaryen dreamers properly acknowledging them in TV canon, then it's more likely that this is why Brynden ended up in that weirwood tree cave. It's an interesting line to trace Targaryen dreamers to Bloodraven, not because of Aegon's dream of the White Walkers only, but the Three-Eyed Raven was the key enemy of the Night King. He was the main protagonist.
Yeah.
And right. And while, it's believed that there were other Three-Eyed Ravens prior to Brynden, it's notable that the great winter Aegon foresaw came when a Targaryen was supposedly the Three-Eyed Raven, and that after his death they were able to invade Westeros once more. So whether the Blood Raven himself knew of Aegon's A Song of Ice and Fire dream is unclear, but he wouldn't have been an heir. He wouldn't have been like in line succession, but he may have learned it as the Three-Eyed Raven, at least, making his position even more pertinent and tied to his destiny and likely dreams. So it's just really cool, man, how they're giving us all these cool, not even just Easter eggs. It's like they're fully breaking down some shit. It's almost like, well, it's just like Star Wars. It's like the prequels, man. It's like, we heard about all this stuff in the original movies, and now we're getting
now
to
they're
see
showing it. We're showing it, yeah.
That's
Without
it.
Jar Jar Binks. Man. Yeah. That's
At their peak. Well, so right now the dragons are at their peak as far as they're the most dragons ever in existence, like at any one time, is right now. Like this is the time, the tip top of the Targaryen, height of power.
iceberg. Yeah.
This is the precipice, right? This is from they only go down from here.
Yeah, this is the height of their civilization, though.
Height of their power. So the dragons are at their peak, so to speak. Like this is the most of them and all of that. But what you might be talking about, the prequel to this, like talking about like the Valyrians and all of that. That stuff isn't even in the books. Like, but I want to see now. I don't know if you mean that, but if you're talking about the prequel to this, as far as when Aegon conquered Westeros, it was only one or two dragons, I think, maybe three. I don't know, one or two dragons, I think, that he conquered Westeros with. And so that wasn't a time when there was a lot of dragons or anything, but that's when Aegon came over, fought the first men, or the the Andals and all of that. And I would love to see that. When I heard they were doing this show, that's what I thought we were getting. And does that make sense? Because they said that this show is going to be based on the book Fire and Blood. That's where the book Fire and
Mm,
Blood starts. It starts with Aegon coming over to Westeros, conquering Westeros and taking over. Yeah, the rise of Aegon. So it was weird that they started the show where they did, because it's like in the middle. It's a chapter that's in the middle of the novel. Like, I really wanted them to start at the beginning, and they really should have, because they could have given us
mm.
season after season after season, because Fire and Blood is a long epic. It's one book, but it starts, it's like a hundreds of years,
And
succession
they
of the
make it.
Targaryens. It's all about the Targaryens. It's about from when Aegon comes to Westeros until the Mad King is usurped in Game of Thrones. That whole
Maybe they just thought it was just too much. Maybe they thought people wouldn't be interested. Um,
yeah.
because like when Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings, he was saying how the movies are actually a little longer than what you see, but he was like, who's gonna sit in the theater that long? Who's gonna sit down and watch that much?
Oh, I have
If
them.
we go back
Yeah.
that
I
we go
got the
back that far.
4.5 hour versions of each one.
Yeah, me too. I got the extended edition, and they were
Yeah.
good. They
It's
were
like
good,
12
but they
hours.
are long. Yeah, they are long. They are
Yeah, bro.
extremely long.
I thought that
Um,
I thought Return of the King, I kept thinking it was over. It has like 9 endings. Watch Return of the King again, bro. It has like 9 endings, bro, from the
you know
time.
what? Out of all of them that I watched, I never watched that one. I never watched the longest version of that one because
Oh,
I literally went out and purposely bought all the extended versions because I wanted to
yeah,
see them all.
yeah.
And that's the only one I never watched. I never watched the extended version of Return of the King.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a must. That is a must. You got to see it. Yeah, it's got like 8 endings. It keeps on ending, like they keep you feel like they wrapped it up, and then and there's a whole nother thing to wrap up. It's like 9 things they wrap up, but they're thorough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Tolkien
he
was
is.
thorough.
Yeah,
He
yeah, he
wrapped it
was
all
thorough.
up.
The Tolkien was thorough. Peter Jackson was thorough with the movies too. He did
Yeah,
a lot of explaining. But and then like even if he couldn't explain everything in the movie or go into detail about it, he still mentions it. Like that's
right.
another thing I noticed about those movies too. There's a lot of stuff he mentioned in the movie
Mhm,
that is in the book. It's canon in the book, but
mhm.
he just doesn't go into it. Like he'll
Right.
mention it. He'll show you things, and like he'll show you that like he showed you Gandalf had one of the rings of power, one of the Elven
Mhm.
rings, but he never goes into it. We don't go into it, but he does mention it when he says, "I am the keeper of the flame of a noodle." That that means that he had one of the rings. The ring is activated by fire, and once you activate it, it has influence. It can
Yeah,
influence people.
you said that
That's one of the
before.
powers of that. It's one of the powers of
I've
that ring.
never seen it.
Look it up when you get a chance. Look it up, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the reasons why when Gandalf, who was it? One of the elves is mad at Gandalf, and they might talk about it in Rings of Power. There was an elf that had it before. Who was I think it's Laurelin. I think it was like Laurelin's brother or his cousin. Somebody that had it before he gave it to Gandalf, and instead of giving it to one of the other elves, he gave it to Gandalf because he thought that the other elf didn't deserve to have it, and he didn't
Mm,
want him to have it. It was for a
mm,
reason. So he gave it to Gandalf. He was like, it's in safer keeping with Gandalf than it was, and Gandalf had it, and he used it. And when you watch The Hobbit, and he's talking to Thorin, you see he lights his pipe, and when he lights his pipe, that's fire, and then that makes the ring activate. And then you see Thorin get kind of confused when he's telling him about going to the mountain. At first, Thorin's like, "No, no, we can't go." And then all of a sudden, Gandalf lights the fire. He starts talking, blows the smoke in his face, and then he's like, "Well, maybe, maybe we might. But if so, and he's still kind of skeptical, but he does convince him. And then in the second movie, when they went to see the king, when the king was under the spell of Saruman, not Saruman, yeah, Saruman. Remember the guy said, "Don't let him speak. Don't let Gandalf speak."
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why, because Gandalf had the ring and he had influence
I mean, just
over.
because if the wizards speak, that's how they do spells. That's why he said that, because he didn't want them to
Nah,
cast a spell.
that too, but they also, but Saruman was the only one that knew Gandalf long enough to know that he had a ring, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why he kept telling. That's why he told the guy to tell them, "Don't let him speak," because the guy was possessed. The king was possessed by Saruman, and he told him,
Mm-hmm.
you hear him whisper it to him. He's like, so.
Oh
And he
yeah.
said, "Oh, whatever you do, don't let him speak." Yeah,
He was
Saruman was on the other. Was on
Scream
the
of
other
Worm
only
Tongue.
people.
Yes,
Yes.
Worm Tongue had him.
Yeah, he was the one that told him that because he was one of the only other people that knew Gandalf had that ring and had the power to do that. But he needed fire to make it work, and that's why the
Yeah,
ring.
I don't know anything about that. I'm gonna have to check that
Yeah,
out.
you
That's
gotta
interesting.
read. You gotta read up on it. You gotta read up on it. Man.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's a lot of stuff that uh the the Balrog. That's another thing they touch on, but they don't really. He touches on it, but he doesn't really get into how important the Balrogs are, because at one point, like the dragons in Game of Thrones, there was a lot of them. There
yeah.
was more than one,
There's like
and
6.
then,
Yeah, there
yeah,
were 6 of them.
and they were very powerful, and they don't tell you what happened to them, but they don't
Well, you
even
know what
go into that.
else? What else is the something much darker in Moria than the Balrog. While Sauron, was the big bad in Lord of the Rings, they still had all kinds of monsters and shit that, were just in there. And, there's dragons and werewolves and Balrogs, they all came
Yeah,
through, but there was things far worse. In the Two Towers, I remember Gandalf recapped his fight with the Balrog of Moria by saying, "Far, far below the deepest delving of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he." And so
yep,
those nameless things remain, one of the Lord of the Rings greatest mysteries, but there's some theories about them. Um, remember when they go in front of the mines of Moria and they're reading the thing to try and get in the mines, and then there's that little pond behind them, and then that like
oh, the thing,
octopus
yeah, the snake thing comes out. Yeah,
octopus, yeah, it's called the Watcher in the Water. And that's going to be one of those nameless things. And that's actually a viable theory. So after fleeing Moria, Gandalf, said to the Watcher, crept. He said that he told someone that the Watcher in the Water, he said it crept or was driven out of dark waters under the mountains. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. And with that, Gandalf seems to be
yeah,
referencing those same nameless things that he talks about later. But more evidence lies in the Lord of the Rings books, where the Watcher was far more than the Lovecraftian and mysterious squid-like octopus thing that they had in the movie. Um, Even with one possibly having made an appearance, no one could say exactly what the nameless things were or looked like. And the fact that Gandalf called them nameless meant that he wasn't even sure what they were.
he wasn't.
And that's significant because Gandalf spent the first and second ages in Valinor keeping company with Valar. And if they, couldn't even name the creatures and teach Gandalf about them, then the monsters were very mysterious. And there's a few theories though that explain where the nameless things came from. The first one is that Morgoth created them deep within the caverns of Utumno, and Morgoth, always sought to create, but everything that he made was evil and corrupted. And they were older than Sauron because simply because Sauron didn't serve Morgoth from the beginning, and it wasn't in Middle Earth when Morgoth created them. So he wouldn't have known all of Morgoth's secrets. And another bit of proof is that the Valar didn't find all of the caverns under Utumno during the War of Wrath, meaning that some of Morgoth's creations remained hidden beneath the world. Because if you're watching the Rings of Power right now, which we're going to definitely get into in a little bit, and I got somebody that's coming on the shows like a Tolkien like scholar, so he's going to come on in a minute. Hopefully he'll be on in like 30 minutes or something. But that show is like right after the whole war with Morgoth. That was like the first age, and that shit is all about Morgoth. And that was the first big bad. That was the first Sauron was Morgoth, and he came and he was like the original god of like evil and shit. And that's who they were fighting against. That's who Galadriel and her elf, warriors and all that. That's who they were fighting against. So in Rings of Power, when they're like, congratulating Galadriel and her fellow, knights, and sending them off to the elf heaven as sort of like a retirement plan, of course. And she jumps ship because she's like, I'm not ready to retire. And Morgoth or something is still out there. I can feel it. I know we haven't found him. So, but the secondary theory about the nameless things takes Gandalf's statement that the nameless things were older than Sauron more literally. So, in order to be older than Maiar, the nameless things must have been created all the way back during the Enulindale, during that music that Eru. See, God, the Tolkien's God is named Iluvatar. Eru Iluvatar. That's the god of Middle Earth, that's the god above all. And he created the Valar, who sang, harmonized, and helped to make Arda, which is the big island in the Silmarillion. But so, however, Morgoth, aka Melkor, was who he was, when he was created as a Valar. He added discord to the music and made it fucked up. And so in Morgoth's Ring, Christopher Tolkien wrote about that specifically. He said, out of the discords of music, not directly out of their themes, Eru's or Melkor's, but of their dissonance with regard to one another, evil things appeared in Arda, which did not descend from any direct plan or vision of Melkor. So he explained as such that evil things like the Ungoliant were created out of discord and entered either Arda or the void. Like that they weren't specifically created on purpose, that they actually were created out of like the evil and the discord of the music when they had this sort of musical battle of the angels. And so, but and then the final theory is based on the prophecy of Mandos. So that states that Morgoth will one day return to Middle Earth to commence the Daggerath, the final battle. And during that day, he will unveil the nameless things as his secret weapon and hope to conquer Middle Earth and destroy the Valar once and for all. And if that is the case, then what happened in Lord of the Rings was only the beginning. And I know that, Tolkien there would be so much more, you know what I'm saying? If he had lived, if he could have lived longer, this shit was just the beginning, bro. So I think, and I would love to see the Rings of Power people.
Yeah. Well, Rito will be back in a minute. He's having technical difficulties. But I'm gonna go on where he left off. Narya, the Ring of Fire, the Red Ring was
Camera issue.
Oh, camera.
Camera trip.
You good? You good? You looking good now? You good.
But yeah, yeah, Slade, we watching that shit. So yeah, I think
Yeah, because the red.
So
the Red Ring was the one that but they don't. But they didn't talk about the other two rings. Well, they didn't talk about none of the rings really yet.
no,
But
because
those are the rings.
Gandalf didn't. So Gandalf, when he came to Westeros, he came with the other wizards: Radagast, Saruman. It was like 4 wizards, and they came.
Radagast, Saruman, Gandalf, and I forget the other one.
Yeah, I forget the other one. So they came to Middle Earth in the Third Age. But what Tolkien, alludes to is that, well, he actually says it. Gandalf was Gandalf, but he was also like reincarnated a bunch of times, that he'd been around since the First Age. Gandalf been around. He just gets reincarnated into different people. And Orlean or Orlean or something like that is who he is.
Lothlorien? Oh no. His name or Gandalf's name or
no, Gandalf. Before he's Gandalf, he's a guy named Olorin back in the First Age. And in the show Rings of Power, that meteor that we saw through the trailer, and that meteor, it finally lands, and there's like a little man. The meteor was a man, and the man landed. And so this guy is this mysterious dude, but when the little hobbit girl is trying to talk to him, he starts screaming at her, and it gets dark, and like just like when Gandalf was in the Hobbit house, and he was like, "What
Oh
do you take
yeah.
me for, a conjurer of cheap tricks?" And don't try to play me, Bilbo. And then shit got real dark, and like the room got darker and shit, and he seemed to get really big. So the guy does this same fucking thing, and I was like, "That's fucking Gandalf, bro." They, so far he's a mystery, and they haven't told who he was. And nobody kind of knows who he is. I think he's Gandalf. I think he's the
You think
original
so?
iteration. I do. I think he's the first like incarnation of Gandalf. Um, I think he'll not be called Gandalf, but that's who he is. And then we've got the that weird dude that was on the raft with Galadriel, and he's somebody. He's probably like he might be Sauron.
Galadriel. Who? Galadriel?
No, in the show when Galadriel's out in the sea and she jumps off her boat, and then she finds like these people like on a raft, and it ends up
Oh
just
yeah,
her
yeah,
and
yeah.
this other dude,
Well, how
and
did
that
she get? I
dude.
want to know how did Galadriel get to Lauren? That's what I want to know.
How did she get there?
Yeah, because when she was going to Elf Heaven, she jumped on
Uh-huh.
that boat. She was like, "I'm out of here."
She jumped
She's
off
like,
the boat.
I can't. Yeah, she's like, I can't do this.
She jumped off the
I got
boat,
things to do.
and then a shipwrecked ship, like just some pieces of a ship, like floating with like some people on it, like they had just survived like a shipwreck, and they're floating in the sea, and so they came upon her, and she hops upon there, and fucking, there's this big sea monster, and it tries to attack them, and it takes like half of the ship and like six of the people, and it leaves just her and this other dude. And that other dude, he's he's uh he's like a mysterious character. They haven't really, who is he or whatever, but he's it's something about him. It's something about him. He's hiding something. So we're gonna find out who he is.
Mm,
A couple people he could be, and he could be a made up character, because they are making up characters for this show. Because this show is not about
right. Yeah.
not a, it's not a direct adaptation
Right.
of anything. So they're able to make
And then
up.
remember, they can't use any of the stuff that was in the movies,
Yeah, they have
so
to
they
make
got to
up.
do what they got to do. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So, but like I said, Gandalf did have one of those rings, and he got it from one of the Elven lords, man. So, I mean, and what's your name had one too. Galadriel had one. She had one of the rings. Because I know one of the rings was used to preserve Lothlorien. That's why at the end when they left, they were like, "Look, we got to, when we leave, everybody's got to go with us because if you don't go, Lothlorien's not going to be here. Because once we leave, it's going to disappear because the ring is what's keeping it here."
Mm-hmm.
But, they talk about that, and then that's when they all leave. Gandalf, I mean not Gandalf, Bilbo and all them jump on the boat and they go to Elf Heaven with the elves.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah. He didn't have the ring of power. He had a ring of power.
Who?
Gandalf.
No, no. Yeah, he had a ring of
Yeah,
power.
yeah.
He
He
had one of
wore
the
it all
rings that
through
was
the.
because there were nine. There were all together. There was like what 11 rings or something like that.
Nah, it was a
But
lot, man. Yeah,
the three
it was
that
a
were
lot.
given to the there was three given to the elves, seven to the dwarves, and nine to men.
Mhm.
So Gandalf had one of the three that were given to the elves. He had the one ring. He had the fire ring. There's fire, water, and air for the elves. And then the dwarves, their rings, the dwarves that they gave the rings didn't have the same effect that it had on anybody else. The thing with the dwarves was the rings, it kind of backfired. It made them more agile and nimble. They were it actually empowered them. But they weren't under any spell and they couldn't be controlled because it made them more arrogant, but it also made them more it just enhanced their abilities. Like remember
Mhm.
in the Hobbit when they were throwing the plates and they were catching them and they were doing all
Mhm.
well when they if you were an elf, if you were a dwarf and you had one of those rings, you were exceptionally nimble. exceptionally
Mhm.
fast and nimble and things of that nature. Um, that kind of backfired on them when they had, but the one that they gave to the men worked extremely well because it allowed Sauron to enslave them and use them at his will, and that's how you got the Witch King and all of that. And Gandalf was granted one of the rings. Oh damn, it's thunderstorm. Gandalf was granted one of the rings. Um, and I forget the elf's name that gave it to him, but he had a brother or something. The brother thought he was gonna get it, and he didn't give it to. He gave it to Gandalf. He thought
Yeah,
it would be in better hands with Gandalf.
Celebrimbor. Yeah, Celebrimbor gave it to
Yeah,
her, and she
I think it was Gilgadder or something like that who had it, and then I forget the name of the one guy that gave it to Gandalf because I read it so long ago. But you got to read when you read the book. They don't like I said. Peter Jackson he touches on little stuff like that, but he
well,
doesn't go into it.
the ring
And you
was
got to
meant
really
the ring that the 3 elf rings they gave Galadriel was Nenya, and then they gave Gandalf Narya.
that's the
Narya
fire
was
ring.
the red ring of fire, right, which was
And then you
the one
got
of the rings,
and then you
and,
got an air ring. You guys, it's fire,
they
air,
were
and
all
water.
created by Celebrimbor after the Anatar. Yeah, they were all created by Celebrimbor, and he put them out. Gilgalad, got one of the rings. He got, Valaya. That's what you're talking about, Gilgalad.
I think he got Naraya. Yeah, he got Naraya. But I know
Um,
Gandalf wound up with it. But in the
Valaya
movie,
got,
yeah, in the
uh
movie they show Gandalf with it. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
never noticed it. I never noticed it
Mhm,
until one day I rewatched it and I was like, damn. I was like,
mhm.
is that one of the rings of power? They so I went and got the books. I looked it
Yeah,
up
it's like
and
a
I was like,
gold ring with, like, a red ruby on
it's
it.
got a red ruby in it, yeah. And I looked it up. I looked it up and I was like, oh damn. I was like, all this time I've been watching this movie, Gandalf had one of the rings. I didn't even notice it. And then
Mhm,
when I really pay, because if you go back and you watch the Lord of the Rings and you pay attention, you notice a lot of little things that Peter
yeah,
Jackson put in there that are in the books that you would never
mhm,
notice before. You'd be like, wait a minute, I didn't notice that. And I mean, you're just so engulfed in the graphics and all that. If you just listen to the words and listen to the certain things, you'll notice
yeah.
things that little tiny details and Easter eggs. Like when what's her name? I think it was Erwin when she was getting chased by the what's the name? By the Nazgul, and she had Frodo on a
Mhm,
horse. And when she was right there, right before she was getting ready to go into her kingdom, and she told him, she was like, "Come get me." And she made that spell that made the water horses come and wash
yeah,
him away. She had to
yeah.
have a ring to do that.
Oh, did she have, she must have had, what's his name's ring then? She had to have, um, Elrond, because Elrond had Valaya. She must
Yeah,
have had his ring, because Galadriel had one, he had one, and Gandalf had one. Chronologically, the first time that Gandalf's ring is mentioned is in the movies, is in The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies extended edition. So it's not even in the regular. But as Gandalf infiltrates the fortress of
no,
Dol
it's in the
Dur.
Hobbit, but they don't say it. They just show him using it. They
No, but they actually mention
show,
it in the
they show.
extended edition of The
Oh
Hobbit,
yeah,
The
yeah, the
Battle of the
extended
Five
edition, yeah.
Armies. Yeah, and he's
Oh,
captured
most
and
definitely.
questioned about the
But in the
whereabouts
regular
of his
one,
ring, and then Narya reveals itself on his finger, showing that the ring has been, invisible all along. And so after this scene, the ring stays invisible all the way up to the ending of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, when it shows him, despite being invisible, though, he's able to use its powers. During his confrontation with the Balrog, he says that he's a servant of the secret fire, the wielder of the
yep.
flame of Anor.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and that's Anor is Middle Earth's son, and it's theorized that Gandalf is referring to his ring having the power over fire. And remember also when he comes down and he comes to Minas Tirith when they're fighting, and he brings like the sun, and he like
Right.
shines. Yeah, and it fucks all the
Yeah.
orcs up and shit. But the only other time the ring is thought to be used in Lord of the Rings in the films is during the Siege of Minas Tirith, is when he does that with the sun. and he rides through the city, and he manages to inspire hope in all the soldiers around him, which is a key property of the ring. It's supposed to
Yeah,
it's like a valor. Yeah, it's
has
like a
influence. Yeah,
valor.
he can
Um,
influence you.
yeah, and but other than that, little is known about his ring, in the
Yeah.
movies, and it's clear
Because
that he
if you
has
watch
the power.
if you watch the first Hobbit movie, they don't say it, but you can see him using it on Thorin when he's talking to him about going back to the mountain. Because Thorin was adamant about not going back there because that place was called the desolation of Smaug is the whole area that Smaug
Mm-hmm.
decimated, and no one went in there. No one went in there for like years, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like Smaug had totally decimated the whole area. He killed everything, and he just stayed inside the mountain. He came out and fed, and he went back in the mountain. And that's why the movie, the desolation of Smaug, is referring to the area that Smaug lived in, and that's where they were
Yeah.
headed. They were headed to the desolation of Smaug. But Thorin didn't want to go there. He was like, "No, we ain't going there. We can't do that." But Gandalf talked him into doing it, and used the ring to do it to influence him to get it done. But Gandalf
Mm-hmm.
was always influencing them to do things they didn't want to do
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole movies. They don't mention how he did it. They just showing that he's like, he's sharp with his tongue and he gets it done.
Mm-hmm. You see the ring on his finger right
Yeah, see
there.
the ring on his finger right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the 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 movie so in Love and Thunder, we got to see, well, I'm sorry, we would have got to see, dude, Love and Thunder could have been dope, bro, if Taika Waititi would have not done all the
everybody,
fucking, it could have been
everybody
dope.
keeps saying that, man.
Because even Chris Hemsworth, he said the story was sacrificed for jokes. He said that shit in an interview in front of Taika Waititi. It was him and Taika was sitting there in an interview, and he actually says the story was sacrificed for jokes. And Taika was like, well, something. But like Eternity, you got Gore the God Butcher right there, and that's Eternity, man. And that's how Eternity should look, bro. And concept art from Love and Thunder shows a vastly different design for Eternity than what we got. The artist Jeremy Love posted a series of images to his Instagram showing, one of several iterations of Eternity for the film, which includes Eternity towering above a brutalist inspired stone gate. And the conceptualization of Eternity seen much more closely resembles the character's typical look that you would see him like in the comics than, obviously what we eventually got in the film. But originally, Eternity came out in Eternity If Eternity Should Fail in 1965, Strange Tales number 138. And he's one of the abstract entities of the Marvel universe. And at its core, Eternity is the living embodiment of the universe as humans understand it, and typically manifests as a massive empty silhouette made up of the cosmos itself. And Eternity has played a key role in a whole lot of storylines, including 2022's Reckoning War, which saw the Fantastic Four and nearly every other hero alive join forces to stave off an ancient multiversal army. But so Gore the God Butcher, right? He seeks eternity, and the movie we saw Christian Bale, Gore the God Butcher, carry out a decidal campaign, in the hunt for eternity, and all in the hopes that the ultimate entity would, in the universe, would grant him one all important wish. So the eternity of the MCU is similar in its appearance to the original, standing out as a cosmic silhouette against, the seemingly endless pool of water.
Right.
But after surpassing $853 million at the box office, Love and Thunder was released for streaming on September 8th on Disney Plus. So,
Yeah, right there.
but
That right there, Reno, goes to show you that it wasn't doing well
with
because it got
deleted scenes.
when I looked it up.
No, what I
Right.
was
When I
trying to
looked it
say
up,
was that
because
when
I
they put
wanted
it on Disney
to talk up.
Plus, they put it on with deleted scenes. That's what I wanted to tell y'all. So, if you saw the movie, there's a bunch of deleted scenes now on Disney Plus, and you get to see what the movie could have been like. And there's like a behind the scenes documentary also for the film entitled Marvel Studios Assembled the Making of Thor Love and Thunder was also released. So
Yeah. Because
check that shit.
when I looked up when it was coming out on disc, it said November. I'm like, damn. But now it's saying I think it comes out in another couple of weeks on disc, and they just put it on Disney Plus
Mm.
because it had to be it either had to be losing steam in the theater or what didn't do as well as they thought it was for them to put it out so fast. Because any other time, like look at Top Gun. Top Gun was the top. It was the top movie all summer, and it goes to
Yeah,
show
it
you
was.
everything doesn't have to be a comedy in order to be good.
No, it does not.
The set was a little orgy. Yeah, I mean, you got to think whenever like Hollywood's got to stop, man. Like, do we like comedies? Yeah, when they're original. Do we like comedies?
Yeah,
Yes, when they're funny.
yeah.
But like, all right, when they did Starsky and Hutch, like you ever notice when they do all '90s or '70s shows, we could get some dope show. Like we could get a dope movie, but they don't. Like when they did 21 Jump Street, why did it have to be a comedy? Why couldn't you just make it
Yeah,
serious like the TV show? Get some good actors.
Starsky and Hutch.
Starsky and Hutch. What was the other ones? The Green Hornet. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. The Green. Come on, man. You doing me dirty?
Yeah, bro, they
I'm
hurt
talking about the
us.
Green. Yeah. I mean, the Green Hornet would have been so dope had they just did it like the T. You could have got somebody to play Kato. You know what I mean? You could have got somebody to play what's his name, Rip
Yeah,
Hunter. Yeah, it would have been, man. It
yeah,
would have been dope, bro. You could have got you could have redid the Black Beauty. I mean, people were probably looking forward to that, but
yeah, yeah.
you know, Hollywood just bro, I don't get it. They make everything that we grew up with and we thought was so cool into a comedy, and it just doesn't do well.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't like everything. It doesn't have to be a comedy all the time. Like you could
yeah.
have got. I mean, you could like they've done some dope stuff, and they make it look like it was back in the day. I mean, come
Right.
on, why we can't get that? You know what I mean? Like why we can't get that now? It just makes no sense, man.
It don't. It
Makes no
really
sense
don't.
to me, man. It really
You know
don't.
what? You know what else don't make no damn sense? Rob Liefeld, what you were showing me earlier. Uh, he says he's talking about the next generation of the millennials and the Gen Z comic book writers, and you know what I'm saying, the Taika Waititi types, and he says they're terrible with directions, love to argue, and have zero accountability.
Yep, yep.
Mm, yeah.
That sounds like my sons. Sounds like both my sons. All three of them,
He
man.
he he was speaking to the issues of the next gen of creators. Back this is back in July, like July 29th, and you know, he went on his Facebook page and he was like, "Got to be honest, had to cut ties with a number of new talent this past spring and summer. Several of these, the work will never see the light of day. I'm having it redone. Um, the connective tissue is the age. These are individuals who are of an age between millennials and Gen Z. The talents I let go are terrible with directions. They love to argue, have zero accountability. No matter how polite I share and I write every exchange as if it would be shared in public, the reactions are a style and manner that I haven't encountered before. He said, I go out of my way to give the benefit of the doubt, spoon feed the info and directions, but the snap and deflection is unlike anything I've encountered in 36 years. I've had a great track record, breaking all manner of talents over the 3 decades. But man, this is a whole new era, and I'm learning that I don't have the patience for this petulant behavior. Add to the fact that I pay top rates. I'm not looking for bargains. Makes me wonder what will become of the industry over the next decade. I've been really fortunate to work with so many great talents over the course of my career, but this is a whole new era that has a different standard of the dread entitlement. End quote. And man, you know, he's not fucking wrong. And I fear for, you know, I fear for comic books, man, and the whole industry as a whole, because I mean, we've been getting a lot of crap lately, and then that's kind of why, because you know what I'm saying, this generation, they are I don't know, man. They're entitled, and they, you know, you gotta everything's gotta be polite, nice, and you gotta sugarcoat every fucking thing. It's they're soft. They're
And
fucking
they
soft.
are. They're very soft, and they're horrible. They're horrible, Reno. They're
Horrible.
horrible, man. They're horrible. Like I read an article a few years back, right? Football player. I know you don't know much about sports, but being as I'm a Steelers fan, we had a player named James Harrison, number 93. He once got cut from a team. He got cut from the Ravens, but
Yeah.
he never gave up. Ravens like, you ain't good enough. We don't need you. Go somewhere else. But he never. He was like, you know what? Skip that. I know I'm good enough to play with the pros. So he starts
Perseverance.
trying out for other teams. He goes down to Pittsburgh, tries out, makes the team. In his debut game, he had one of the best games of his life. His debut game. Now he's a bona fide starter and an NFL legend who will make the Hall of Fame. Who's going to be in the Hall of Fame? He's going, and that's because he worked hard.
Had he been in Gen
He
Z, he would have not
he
fucking
would have
tried.
just he would have just gave up. Right,
Yep.
sons. His sons played in this football league. They're like it's like a little Bulldogs league, and
Right.
they participated. They did everything they're supposed to do, and the team gave out trophies, but they gave everybody a trophy on both sides
Right.
to participate. So James is talking to his kids, and they're like, "Oh, we all got trophies." He's like, "Wait." He's like, "Well," but his kids want to lose. Like they had a tournament. The kids played on the losing team, but they gave everybody trophies.
Right.
So James Harrison gets wind of this, and he says, "Wait a minute, why'd they give y'all trophies? Y'all lost."
Yeah,
He's
how
like,
they gonna
"Oh,
know they
Dad, we got
lost?
trophies."
Yeah.
Right. So James walks his kids
Why
back
win?
and says and tells his kids to give the trophies back.
Damn right.
The people at the tournament who ran the tournament were upset. So now they think, oh, he famous. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get on social media. We're gonna get him. And they report it. And they put it out there. People come and interview James Harris. They're like, yo, you make your kids get back these trophies. He was like, wait, you guys don't understand. I didn't make them get back the trophies. He said they did not win. And they gave everybody trophies. He said, how are my kids going to learn the value of winning
Right.
if everybody wins?
Right.
How are they going to know
You don't have to
the
try.
agony
Just
of
fucking come up here.
right? You don't have to try. You just got to show up. So he was like, if you put in hard work, you win. And he told him his story. It was like, if I didn't put in hard work, I would have never been where I'm at in the NFL right now. I had to work hard. I got cut from like from like two teams before I finally got a team. And he said it wasn't I got cut because I wasn't working hard enough. And then
Right.
he said when I worked hard, that's when I got my starting spot, kept it, and played in the NFL. He was
Right.
like, I'm not teaching my kids that. I'm teaching my kids how to be winners and hard workers. So he said, yes, I did make them give the trophy back. And he said, I didn't make them give it back because I'm being a hater. I made them give it back because they did not earn it.
Right.
And he said they will not have no trophies in my house on no mantle case that they did not earn. He said I have other trophies and awards that they won. They earned them, but they didn't earn these, and I made them give them back.
Yeah.
This generation, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever you want to call them, millennial, they don't know that.
The worst ones are the millennials. You know, Gen Zs is not quite as bad as the millennials were, man. Because like my son, because I think I don't know, Gen Z, millennials were anybody born from like 1980 to around I think 2002 or some shit. And then Gen Z is like '02 to now or whatever. But and so my son, he's Gen Z, but my daughter, she's millennial. And you can tell the difference, dude. And like my little sister's a millennial. Like they like I'm Gen X and you can tell the difference, bro. I think the reason Gen Z is called Gen Z is because they're closer to Gen X than the
Yeah,
millennials were. That's why they got that Gen letter name. We're the only Gen X is the only letter that's Gen and a letter. So Gen Z is kind of a play on the Gen X. So it's kind of that's like our kids and I think some of us are raising our kids the right way. And so there is a lot of sense, at least there's some sense going on in Gen Z because like I know my son, you know what I'm saying? I know how I raise him and I know how his friends are and shit. So
for Gen X, I
Gen
think
Z.
Gen X is. Oh yeah,
Gen
because
X
Gen
is
X
me.
is
That's me.
Yeah, that's me and you. We're Gen X.
Yeah, we're Gen X.
Yeah, we're what 65 to 80. I think Y is like I forget what Y is. Well, I know X is like it's the
Y
end of
is
that.
millennials, but they don't call
Yeah,
them
Y.
Y. They
Yeah,
call them
they call them millennials. Yeah,
millennials.
yeah. Because X is us. X is like
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
from like
It wasn't no
65. Yeah, 65 to 80. That's like my older brothers
79.
and sisters and us.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 65 to 80. I know that for a fact.
yeah.
Yeah, because my oldest sister was born in 67 or something like that, or 68. My oldest sister. But yeah, they do think they're entitled, man.
Yeah, they
My
do.
niece is a girl, only
It's
football
the
player
only
on the high
girl
school
football player in
team.
the high school team. She gets so much shite, but that girl doesn't care what no one thinks. Has her mind set. She's tough. Yeah, man. That's I mean, Gen Z. I have hope. I have hope for Gen Z, man. Millennials, they're just some real pansy whiny mugs. No, I'm just kidding, man. If you're a millennial, bro, I got love for you, but some of y'all people is like, dog, grow a spine, please.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own ways, man. So as long as you're
Remember we
living
talked
life
right,
right,
remember we talked about that before though. Remember what I was saying? I was like, yo, because they were saying how like it like right now, none of them want to work. None of them want to work. None of them want to
and my
none want
son
to
does.
do
My
anything.
son is like applying for jobs. Like Gen Z, they want to work. All his friends got jobs.
Right.
All his little
And you know the
17.
and you know the sad part? They're gonna surpass a whole generation. Like you're gonna see a whole generation of them that are in much better shape financially,
Mhm.
economically, and things of that nature before them. When it shouldn't be like that. It,
No.
it should it should be it should be each generation be greater than the next or
Yeah.
surpass the last one.
Yeah.
Like we surpassed the baby boomer generation. You
Boomers.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the millennials won't surpass Gen Z. They just won't do it. You know, some of them will, but most of them won't.
As a generation, they won't. Yeah.
No, no, they won't. Not at all. Not at all. They don't hold on to anything. They don't hold anything dear. They don't respect traditions. None of that, bro. None of that makes any sense to them. All they want to do is listen to bad rap music and smoke weed, and that's it.
Yeah, man. Which nothing wrong with listening to bad rap music and smoking weed, but at least listen to some good rap music too.
You know, you know. I'd rather for them to listen to good rap music and smoke weed.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you can say they did something right,
Yeah.
but they didn't do that, man. So, because I find a lot of kids, just like Blaze's age and my youngest son, his age, they're like, remember we were talking a couple weeks ago, and I was like, look, and I was like, listen, when you play a song, when Dex was like, yo, he was like, nah, this was popping, and I was like, nah, I was like, bruh, it's two generations that don't even care. If
Yeah.
you're not playing that computerized beat that they love with that same tempo and that same
Bro,
flow, they
I
don't want
tried
to
to
hear it.
show I tried to show my son Coast Contra. Cause I was like,
Mhm.
here's some kids your age, and they got lyrics, like they got he was
Right.
not interested, bro. He
Then
just could
not.
not care less.
Right. Remember,
He's like, I
they
see
don't.
he's like, I recognize
I
that
said,
it's talented. I recognize that it's
right.
cool and it
But I
sounds
don't
cool,
want to
but I'm
hear it.
not gonna bump it in my ride.
Right. I ain't trying to hear that. Because remember,
It's
remember I
but
was
it's
telling
like the
Dex
way
that.
I feel about Eminem. Like I
But
recognize
see,
the talent. I know it's dope, but I'm not gonna bump it in my ride.
but that's different though, because like
Is it though?
Eminem, I'm like you. Yeah, because I'm like you. I could listen to him. I even got his albums. I got every album he ever made before he
I
went off the
don't.
edge.
I never
But
bought it. I never got one of his albums, never once.
yeah, I got all of them except I got all. I think the last one I got was the Eminem show, which was the last one. After that, I didn't buy any after that. But um but it was like I was telling Dex, if they ain't rapping fast to that computer beat with the same tempo, and them same straight noises. They don't
And they're
like
not
my
even
like I can
rapping.
right. They're not my kids. They and it like
They
my
don't even
kids. Like
rap.
if I play certain things for them, they be like, man. Like say if I play Benny the Butcher, they be like, that's all right, Dad, but
Yeah.
and like it ain't all. But then if I play like the Baby or Quavo or something like that and put it to one that same beat that they, because I told my son, I said, son, like one day he couldn't argue it. I said, son, let's listen to Juice World, and we did. I said, listen to the beats. The tempo is the same throughout every song.
Mm-hmm.
Every song got the same tempo. The beats all sound the same. No, they don't, Dad. No. So we listened to it. He actually sat down and really, like, I went on YouTube and just pushed up the beats because you can just push up the beats. And
Yeah.
so we got the beats and we just listened to the beats. And so I said, watch me do the same tempo. So I kept doing, I was clapping my hands like a metronome. I was like, watch me do the same beat. I'm gonna do the same tone to this the whole way through. At every beat. And then he admitted, he was like, yeah, Dad, you right. He said, it is the same. I said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I said, that's all I was trying to tell you. Like, if you like it, that's on you. But I'm telling you that they're not giving you anything different on
Yeah.
each song. And so he was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, but he loved Juice World. He's like, Dad, nah, he's still talented. I said, all right, son, whatever you say.
I mean,
Whatever you say.
yeah, and the thing is like some of them cats like Juice World before he died, got arrested dead, and Trippie Redd, like
Yeah,
they can actually spit, but they don't because this is not what's popular. But I heard them on mixtapes and shit, and I heard some of their music, and they really can rap. They just don't.
yeah. Trippy
And
Red can, yeah, I heard Trippy Red spit some stuff. I was like, damn, that's
he
Trippy
can
Red.
really, yeah,
Yeah,
he can really spit. Like he can really spit like hip hop bars, shit that we would listen to, but you would never hear him doing it, you know.
no,
But um, the
no, you're not gonna hear him do it. You're not gonna hear him
my
do it at all.
son's favorite dude, his favorite rapper is a cat named Yeet, and the cat don't.
oh, he like eat.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
fuck with
eat
Yeet.
don't.
That's his
Yeah, he
favorite.
don't. Yeah,
He
he
don't
don't
even
be saying
rap,
that,
bro.
man.
He don't even be
He
saying
don't.
that. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Eh."
he don't be saying that, man.
I get what I get what he likes about it because it's got a cool sound and Yeet has a cool voice and it sounds cool, but it's like to me it's like techno. It's like it's just dance. It's just music that it's just for the music, for the sound, for the vibe, for the vibe. I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
because
call it hip hop. I don't call it
a
rap.
lot
I
of it,
call it
Reno was chanting. A lot of stuff, a
chanting.
lot of stuff they just chanting, bro. Like they'll say the same thing like 10 times. And he was
Yeah.
like, huh? Like, damn, he just like, damn, the song was only
Or
two
they
minutes.
really mumble. Like they really
Yeah, like you can't. Yeah. And you know who was good for that?
and I was like, son, what did he say? He's like, I don't even know. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, but it sounds cool. All right.
It sounds cool. Yeah. You know who was good for that? And they used to get on him about it all the time. The Migos. Because the Migos is
Yeah.
kind of dope. But people used to be like, yo, y'all gotta stop mumbling on these rhymes. And they'd be like, oh, and they get offended. Because people be telling them,
Yeah.
like, look, like
Like that's our southern
even
accent though.
y'all gotta be a little it was like, well, Ludacris from the South, but he don't sound like that. He don't mumble.
Right.
3 6 is from the South, but they don't mumble. Like y'all mumbling because you trying to do more than what you could do. You know what I mean? But the industry's
Yeah.
like that now, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you mumbling because if you really said the shit you were saying clearly, we'd be like, "The fuck are you talking about, dog?" So, but if you mumble it, you disguise that it ain't shit and make it sound cool. That's it. I said write down that shit. Write down what he's saying and read it back. Tell
It
me how
never
silly
happened.
you feel.
It never happened. Oh, I had something to show you too, Reno. Hold on. Just for you. 'Cause you inspire me some days to be the best that I can be.
Shit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is for you and Norton Rad. Yes, sir. For you too.
Bust it
Something
out.
special. Something special. Just a little something that I got for you and Norton. You know what I mean? Because only you and Norton would appreciate something like this.
Norris said he been digging Young Dolph lately. I don't know Young. I don't
Yeah,
know Young
I heard Young
Slabby
Dolph.
Patty. I heard of him, but I just don't know of his. I don't know his music. All right, what do we got?
Yeah,
Oh, McFarlane
yes,
Scarecrow.
sir. Scarecrow.
That is
Yes,
fucking
sir.
dope. Let me see the front. Let me see the
It's the
figure. I mean,
multiverse. Scarecrow. You ready for this?
is it? Ah, that is sick, bro. That's that one. Yeah, yeah, bro. Where'd you find this?
Big Bad Toy Store.
Okay. Yep, that's where you will get them, and it will not be Walmart.
Nah, I would have never found this in Walmart. Actually, it was on McFarlane's website, and I was on his
Mm,
website, and so I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, I never seen this Scarecrow. I'm like, Scarecrow is dope. And so I go to get it, and then I got a coupon thing on my Google feed, so it said that the figure was actually cheaper somewhere else, and I'm like, huh? So I'm like, where? So I
mm,
click it, and it pulled up Amazon and Big Bad Toy Store. But what I didn't know is that it was what I'm here to inform all of our viewers is that Todd McFarlane has a store on Amazon that sells these figures. So I
mm.
was getting ready to pay for this figure, same price I got on Amazon, but they was going to charge me up for the shipping when I get free shipping from Amazon, which keeps the price of which I only paid the price of the figure and not the price plus the shipping and the tax and all that. And that's why it pays to have good technology when you shop. Because I would have paid close to maybe $35 for this character
Mhm.
rather than paying like $21, like 21.19 and
Right.
free shipping. But I wanted this scarecrow because it's just so dope. It's so unique, so different. Now there is another one. They just released the Arkham Asylum one. I think it's up for pre-order. That one is ultra dope. Like you gotta see
Oh
that one.
yeah, 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 bro.
Yeah, yeah, that one's ultra dope. So you gotta check that one out when you get a chance.
I think I did see that one. Also, so Wade's Comic Madness, the newsletter at Wade's Comic Madness is the Junkyard Joe. So tell me about this, Stu. What are we looking at here? We got Junkyard Joe, and it says this just the text of the text list of titles. I'll post some photos, highlights when I get back from my dentist appointment. From now, though, take a look at this veterans charity comic. So Junkyard Joe #1, special black and white veterans edition. So what is this? He's doing a veterans donation
Yes,
thing?
yes, because we have you know, Salute the Service Month starts mid October. So it goes from mid October until Veterans Day in November. And you also have breast cancer awareness, but that's something else. But so in order to commemorate that, they're doing a Junkyard Joe special black and white cover edition or
Mm,
edition. And you can get yours at Wade's Comics. They also have a website, Facebook page, Instagram, and you can order them through there as well. And support veterans and salute the service. But down there, he
absolutely.
also has a list of comics that's coming to the shop as well. But that's something different that he was doing during COVID. You know, they were delivering them locally and things like that. So people still got their comics, which I thought was
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah, you got and look at this. They got green bubbles, matches, and then Joe, Junkyard Joe, Sarge, Band-Aid, Muddy, and Big Jack. These are the Junkyard Dogs. Special issue presents Junkyard Joe #1 in black and white, with all proceeds donated to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, guys. That is very important. NCHV.org. So, in honor of Jeff John's grandfather and to Veterans Aid at veterans-aid.net, in honor of Gary Frank's grandparents. Additionally, Mad Ghost will donate $2 for every issue purchased. Our hope is to tell the tale of veterans through a comic book lens and raise awareness and money to support those wonderful organizations. So it's tonight for Marvel, Boom, Image, Comics, and more. Please have orders into us by 11 p.m. tonight so we have time to place them. Pricing: single comics are 20% off the following prices. Cover sets of variants are already marked at the sale price, but for single variants, you get 20% off the listed amount. Statues, figures, and merchandise are 20% off. Items listed at the pre-order price are as is. Trade paperbacks and hardcovers get 30% off unless otherwise noted. If you would like photos, descriptions of anything, just ask. I'll be happy to get you info. To order, just reply back to this email with your requests and order them, distributed by the deadline. Then one of our staff follow up shipping info, payment items. So if they don't have this email, Stu, how can they participate?
Oh, they can go to Wade's Comics Madness, sign up for the newsletter and the email, and they'll email it right to you.
There you go.
And that's Wade's Comic Madness.
Yeah,
like I said, they have a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram. If you go on Twitter, the link for the website is right there. You just click on it, sign up, you're good.
Boom.
But I'm gonna order mines, and I'm gonna get it tagged and slabbed, and it's going on the comic wall.
And these, and so this is all the stuff that you can pre-order. So you got like X-Force number 32, Wolverine number 25, some great variants. You got the Nakayama variant, the Zillow variant. Wolverine's my guy. That's why I'm talking about Wolverine, but everything's up here from every publisher. Boom, DC, Random House, you name it.
Yeah.
Marvel,
now they started doing that because during the pandemic, everything was on lockdown. We couldn't get our comics. Comics were coming out. So Wade had this great idea where he would, he started the mailing list, and he would mail it out to everybody, and we would put in our order for our comics. And they would pick your comics, and then they would, you would hit them back. I guess they knew by email or magic, because they know magic in that place. And you would show up at the door. They know who you were. I think they give you comics. You pay. You go home, and everybody's happy.
Right.
It was a great idea, and they're still doing it. The pandemic's not, what it was. I just go get my comics now. I just go pick them up. But you can order them that way too, and get them, and then just go pick them up. They have a pull list. You got a folder, and they can do all of that. But I usually get mine every week. Every Wednesday I go. Like clockwork. Get mine and keep it moving.
Well, guys,
but it's not as good as your local comic shop. It's not as good as your local or your Walmart.
My Walmart. That's where we shine. Walmart. So the Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. We just kind of watched the thing Saturday, but if you guys missed Saturday, we were talking about all the D23 Expo trailers, of which I think we showed like 7 trailers. But that Mandalorian 3 was just too good to see once. We got to show that shit again, Stu. We got to talk, because man, there's no detailed description of the plot of season 3 yet, but from the teaser, it can definitely be understood that the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, and Grogu are together again, and they will have many new and interesting journeys and adventures, in a distant galaxy a long time ago. But Din Djarin was kicked out of the Mandalorian clan, and so that's kind of where the story left off, and now he's got to revive himself or redeem himself by going to the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And the duo of bounty hunters and the clumsy kid join Bo-Katan and other Mandalorians to take part in the various battles, some of which we get to see in the trailer. So really fucking dope looking season. I cannot wait to see this show. It sucks that we kind of do have to wait a little while, but yes, Wade's comic is so dope. But what do you say, Stu? You want to watch that shit again?
Bro, I watched it. Yes, please, because I don't watch it about 5 times already. But I can watch
Here we
it
go.
again.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yes, please.
This is the one that you saved? You are as its father. A clan of two. But you have removed your helmet. Then you are a Mandalorian no more.
Your cult fractured our people. Where were you then? Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?
All right, kid. Hang on. You ready for an adventure?
That shit looks amazing, dog. I mean, you're on mute, bro.
It's so sad we gotta wait till 2023 to see that.
It really is,
It really
man.
is.
It really is.
It really is. But I'm gonna say this much. I'm gonna say the same thing I always say for video games. If it's gonna make the show better, I'll wait. If it's gonna
Exactly.
make it better, I will wait, Rena. I don't give a damn. I'll tell you what. Bo-Katan had a good point in that trailer when she told Grogu, "Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?" Because you don't see many of them running around the galaxy,
Right.
So
You
they
do
are
not.
kind of a mystery, yeah. And then with the fact that the other Mandalorians take their helmets off, a Mandalorian could be anybody because
Right.
they're mostly known, for that armor with the helmet and the armor, because they could always wear something over the armor and just have, without the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Star Wars, what was it? The one with Ezra. The one chick that was a Mandalorian, she didn't always wear the armor, but she was a Mandalorian. But when they went out, sometimes she put that joint on. So, and that's when Bo-Katan was like, look, your clan and their ways is what kind of did us in a little bit. And I wonder what she's referring to. Shout out to the chat. Anybody in the chat, what is she referring to when she says that?
When she said what?
Now she said, your clan, like his sect of Mandalorians, is the one that kind of did them in.
Well, no, I mean, I know that he's from the way they do it is like some real old fashioned traditional shit about not removing your helmet. Because Bo-Katan and them, they don't wear their helmets unless they're fighting.
Yeah, unless they're going into battle, right?
Yeah. So they're different, but ain't no telling, man.
And then remember they kind of like took people like children and made them Mandalorians.
Yeah, they get the orphans and raise them. Yeah, they call the foundlings. Yeah. And I think they all do the foundling thing. I just think that some factions, believe in the you can't remove your mask and some don't.
All right. Now, do you think that sooner or later they'll go back to like what we saw for the Empire Strikes Back, the white armored super commandos? Like how they have the elite guard for the Sith that wear all red. You think they might have something like that for the minute? Because remember when we first saw Boba Fett, he was in all white.
Yeah. Well, that was the what do you call it? The concept
Yeah, the concept. Yeah,
design of him to be all white. That was his concept design. But the first time we ever really saw him like
on screen. Yeah, he had the
on
armor that he
screen
had on him.
was
Yeah,
the cartoon. Was the cartoon when he was when he had the rifle and shit and he was like blue and shit. He had like a different color scheme. And then when you see Mando with that long rifle with the big tuning fork at the end, that is actually a rifle, a thing that Boba Fett
yeah,
had
that's what Fett
in the
used.
cartoon
Yeah, yes,
when
he
we
did.
first
He had
seen
it in
him.
the one.
Yeah,
What was the one cartoon he had it in? At R2D. I watched it on Disney Plus. They showed Boba Fett, and he had a long rifle. He was riding a giant, whatever it was,
yeah, a
and he
big
pulled the
dinosaur.
rifle out. I was like, oh, that's the one. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's the
Yep,
joint that Mando had.
yep, yep, yep. Wow, he made his first public appearance in San Anselmo County Fair in California on September 24th, 1978, in a costume worn by Dwayne Dunham. 2 months later, Boba Fett appeared on screen for the first time in Star Wars Holiday Special in animation, voiced by Don Franks. So yeah, first time anybody saw him was at the fair, and then the
At the
second time
fair, yep.
anybody saw him on the Star Wars Holiday Special.
He was dressed in white. That's why I was saying, do you think that they're gonna? Because that'd be dope if they do that. If they say, these are the elite Mandalorian guards, and they dress in white
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
guard the castle. Like that'd be dope if they did that.
It would be dope. I don't know if they're like because there's a bunch of other Mandalorians, right, that they showing in the trailer, and I guess those are Bo-Katan's homies. We don't know. We don't know who they are.
Actually, because remember the ones that are like the girl that was in Star Wars Rebels. Um, she dresses like Bo-Katan in them. Her armor is more
Mhm.
colorful,
Right.
and the Mandalore, Mando, his isn't. It's just like that regular silver color. And remember, his whole clan, all their armors the same. They don't have those intricate bright colors and all that on there, except for the wielder. She was the only one that had that stuff. But the rest of them
Right.
just had regular armor like Mando. So maybe that's a thing too.
It could be.
Yeah, that's something we gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I hope they explore.
Yeah, that would be dope. That would definitely be dope. They're doing oh no, that's Armor Wars. But yeah, but the season 3 features an identity crisis that feels like the Skywalker retcon all over again. Din Djarin never expected his life to change so much when he took on the bounty to bring some unnamed 50-year-old for the Imperial Remnant, and of course that mission led him to Grogu, and he fell in love with the alien, but unfortunately his devotion to Grogu kind of led him to take steps that his fellow Mandalorians consider heretical. Taking the
Right.
mask off, whatever he had to do, but he's a member of a Mandalorian sect called the Children of the Watch, and
Right.
they're descended from the group known as the Death Watch, and they're considered they're religious zealots by the other Mandalorians like Bo-Katan and them, because of their commitment to old ways that others have abandoned. But one of their most important rules is that their adherents cannot remove the helmets, of course, and Din Djarin was definitely forced to do that to rescue Grogu, and he was recaptured by the Imperial Remnant. He never had to tell her that he did it, but as far as the Children of the Watch is considered, he's now considered banished, in the way he believes. He could have lied about it, but what's the point of
That's
that?
true. That's the
What's
truth.
the
All right.
point?
Yeah.
But only
Because
by
we do. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, only by conducting a quest to the home world is the only way he can be redeemed. In their eyes, he has to make a pilgrimage to Mandalore and dip his feet in the lake of Minnetonka.
Because we know Mando's, because we know the different clans of Mandalorians, but according to Bo-Katan, they never really got along, and she was there to unite them. They all had different agendas, and she promises that when she gets the sword, she's going to unite the whole Mandalore and put it back into peace and have them all work in unity with each other. The way the Mandalore is the way that Mando follows, and that's more of an ancient religious. Won't take off their mask, and
Mm-hmm.
the Jarn. They have the children of the Watch. A group of
Mm-hmm.
religious people who follow that Mandalore way. But according to Bo-Katan, those ways are dead, and she doesn't agree with the things that Mando does. I mean, when she fight, and she tells him like, "Look, I'll fight side by side with you, and you can
Yeah.
go on this mission with me to get the dark saber.
Yeah.
But let's let one thing be clear: what you do is Mandalorian lore no more. And why? And like her question to him is, why are you still following it? Like, why are you still following that?
Yeah.
We don't do that no more. We don't even have a home
Yeah.
world anymore. Like,
Yeah.
after the Great Purge, where Empire went in there and got all that. What's the name of that metal that they make their
Beskar.
yeah, Beskar. Yeah, when we got when they did the Great Purge and they came and stole our Beskar from us, we don't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
And had you guys not, when Mando went on missions and he did bounties, that's what he was working for. He was working to get more Beskar. The more Beskar he got,
Yep.
the more she would forge things for his armor. Whereas in Bo-Katan and them, they probably was like, look, just make an armor, get some weapons, let's go do this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I can see what she means because everything's got to be earned, everything's got to be done a certain way. It would take a long time for them to make decisions about doing certain things. The wielder speaks in riddles all the time. I mean, I can see how that could be hard, to united people, but then you got a certain sect of people they just stuck in one way. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. And Nora and Rad said, I wonder if Grogu is the last of his people, or will they find more? They in the upcoming show, Tales of the Jedi, we'll see Yaddle, who is the female Yoda. So there is other of Yoda's species. I know Yaddle and Yoda, obviously, and Grogu, but and at this time they're all alive. So at least those three are alive right now. So it's more than likely that there's more than if we know of those three, then obviously there's more. So I don't think they're the last. They're just for some reason a very rare species. You don't see a lot of them around, kind of thing. They're just
That's true.
very, yeah, they're just very rare, and then just very, they keep to themselves. They're not usually force sensitive, actually. So they're usually like businessmen and merchants and shit.
Right. Because according to George Lucas, his idea for Yoda was to have him be a lesser seen species in the scheme of things and more mysterious. He didn't want
Mhm.
a lot to be known about Yoda because he wanted Yoda species to be, clouded in mystery. So there was. That's why when you watch, Yoda was the only one you ever. We saw the Wookiees, we saw other Fets and things like that, but you only
Yeah.
saw one Yoda. You only saw one of his species.
Mhm.
And George Lucas said they did that on purpose. They
Yeah.
did not want a lot of them around because, But he did say that if he had to put a place on where they're from the outer rim. They're from way,
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah, they're from the far reaches of the galaxy
Right.
where, it's out of the normally explored, dealt with, planets and shit. But, you know, all the ones we know of are very force sensitive. Obviously, Yoda, Grogu, and Yaddle are super Jedis, super sensitive. But I've read somewhere that as a species, they typically aren't all force sensitive like that. But if you ask a lot of
Really?
people, yeah, if you ask a lot of people, they'll tell you that they're all force sensitive, but that's only because all the ones that we know are force sensitive, but it's only 3. Um,
Right, that we know of, yeah.
but I know, yeah, I just know that he's from an old species, shrouded in mystery kind of thing. But um, we don't like the members of his species are rarely seen anywhere in the galaxy, so you never know. And the few members of the species that are seen are all force sensitive. But the home world and name of what they're called is completely unknown. We know they've got males and females, and we know that they're pretty much small in size and roughly comparable to that of a human child, with green skin, big eyes, long pointy ears, all that shit. But and they're three fingers and claws and shit.
Yeah.
But they mostly are carnivores. They like to eat live, amphibian frogs and shit like that. Um, yeah, but
And confectionery treats from time to time as well.
yeah, and they have a very long life. They live hundreds and hundreds of years, several centuries. We know Yoda was almost 1,000 before he died.
Yeah, he lived 800 millennial. Shit, he was 800 years
Yeah,
when he died.
yeah,
Lived a
yeah.
couple millennia. He lived a few millennial when he passed away.
Mhm. I mean, Grogu's still an infant, but he's
He's only
50
50.
years. Yeah,
He's only 50 years.
year old to us, but he's still a baby to them. And
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it could be that they're all force sensitive, but I know I read somewhere that they weren't force sensitive. They were businessmen or something like that, mostly merchants or whatever. I don't know, but not much is known about him. It's pretty cool that he made such a unique and then like
Mysterious.
mysterious. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's cool as hell.
oh yeah. But yeah, George Lucas chose to keep the name and background a mystery. Um, in the documentary From Puppets to Pixels, there's you can see on the DVD bonus disc of episode 2 that I have, and he joked that Yoda was the illegitimate child of Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy, so because they were puppets, and shit. He has no hints,
None. We get nothing.
no.
Which is great, man. Sometimes, like George, like if you
Yeah,
watch that, shout out everybody in the chat. I encourage everybody in the chat to just watch that documentary. I mean, if you own the Star Wars discs, it's on there. If you got Disney Plus, you can watch it. Um, if you really, really listen to what he says and some of the things he says, you know why Star Wars is doing so bad right now. One of the things that stood out
mhm,
to me that he said was that when you're writing these stories or these scripts, whatever, he was like, you got to care about it. You got to put time into it. It's got to be something
mhm,
that you nurture and make flourish and pay attention to. And he was like, because if you don't, then you're just gonna have crap. And I was like, damn. And I thought about that, and I'm like, damn, that's opposite of that right now when it comes
mhm.
to his product. They just don't care. Like Kathleen Kennedy just doesn't care. Like she just wants what she wants. She wants to be the next George Lucas, and she can't. Like take the stuff that's already there. Like who would say all these books that were written, like the ones you have, Reno, and
Yeah,
I have never heard anybody anywhere say those books were not good. Who would sit there and say, okay, the characters from the first 6 movies need to go. Like we need to move away from them. But yet
yeah,
you won't
or
make the
none of these
lore
books
outside.
again.
Right, right. But you won't use any of the books. You won't use any of the books or anything in those books in
Right.
order to make
Because
a
if you
new
wanted to
set
get
of
away from
movies.
those main characters, you could go to the books. But the reason they don't want to go to the
Thank
books is
you.
because the books aren't they're not as diverse, as they want. The thing is, though, is you can make the characters in these books any race you want. If you want to do that, you could do that. That's not a problem. You don't have to make up the fucking High Republic era, the Pansy era, where the Jedis don't never get their robes dirty. They never fight. There's no Sith. Like, what is that? Who cares about that?
What
Why
is it?
are we?
Right? Who cares? Right?
Why is this something that we got comic books and novels and shows coming out about the lamest era in Star Wars history? Like, what are you doing? There's a whole Old Republic era, thousands of years long, that you could dip into. I mean, you can go back to the ancient Jedi. You could do it's so much shit they could go into, man. And they choose to create this little pocket era before the prequels where the Jedi were the lamest. They weren't just the lamest because they didn't fight or anything. They were lame because they were all pompous and arrogant, and they thought that that their shit didn't stink. I mean, you saw how the prequels. Imagine that shit times 100, and they're wearing all white and gold robes and shit. This is not interesting to me. I mean, I don't.
No.
Star Wars fans never. We have scoundrels. We have bounty hunters. We have. You know what I'm saying? We're not. What is this? Like, what even is that?
Like, instead of
not
Book of
part of
Boba
Star Wars.
Fett, we could have got the comic book series or the Bounty Hunters. That would have been dope. And she keeps saying how we got to move away from those characters. Then move away from them. You want to move away from them? There's other characters in Star Wars you could have focused on. And people would have flocked to
Hell
it.
yeah.
You could have gave us Dash Rendar, Shadows of the Empire. You could have gave us
Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Anything, bro.
Yeah. All that. But gave us nothing.
Knights of the
But
Old
gave
Republic.
us a script from a movie you wrote about Obi-Wan Kenobi years ago that nobody thought was good then and definitely wasn't good now.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, bro. It's not fucking fair.
No, it's not.
But at least we got Henry Cavill playing Victor Von Doom.
That's dope. I'll go.
Yeah.
I can take that. I can go with that. That's dope.
And
Damn,
Boyega, we got
represent.
Boyega from Johnny Storm. The Boyega, man, they just did him so wrong with Star Wars. They did him so dirty, bro. They promoted the whole shit like he was going to be the next Jedi. He was
Reno. He was
great story,
listen,
bro.
Reno. I read an article when the same one I was talking about when I read the article when they're talking about Obi-Wan. It said that originally he was supposed to be the focal point of, like, he was supposed to be the like a Jedi. He was supposed to be the next Jedi.
Right.
And they said that even in the last movie where he was talking to Rey, where he was sinking in the quicksand, where he was like, Rey, wait, I gotta tell you something. And he said he was supposed to tell her, I think I'm force sensitive. But, he got cut off and we never get to explore that half of Bottega. So
yeah, he was definitely supposed to be force sensitive, bro. He was definitely supposed to have been part of the Jedi shit. And then they just went Mary Sue with it. And they wanted it to make it woman power. I mean, the whole thing, they wanted to feminize it, which doesn't make any sense. It's generally boys that are fans of it. And then but there already is some great female characters. I mean, from Leia to Ahsoka, there's plenty of great female characters. So Star Wars has always been diverse. It's always been diverse. So what they did was just overkill and, ruined Luke Skywalker, the whole thing. It was just trash. And thank God for Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau bring us the Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker back. That Luke Skywalker that showed up at the end of Mandalorian, that's who should have been in those sequel movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A goat, a god, like Luke in the books, and like Luke at that time, he becomes like the most powerful Jedi ever there was.
Yeah. Luke had a lot of time to train, and Obi-Wan trained him because he was a Force ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Vader became Anakin again, I'm quite sure he had a hand in training him, and he could speak to Yoda. So you gotta think he had 3 powerful Jedi training him at all times that were fully trained. Luke
Yes.
should have been. You're right. Luke should have been like a god Jedi with the training that he
Yep.
received, because
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was supposed to receive more training from Qui-Gon from beyond the grave. The Obi-Wan stuff that we got. Because you got to ask yourself, if Obi-Wan wasn't using his powers all that time and he wasn't being a Jedi, how was he strong enough to even do some of the stuff that he did? He shouldn't have been able to fight
Yeah,
Vader as good as
exactly.
he did. Yeah,
Right.
if he didn't get trained, if he didn't get more training, because he should have been rusty. He should have had to shake the rust off.
Yep.
But by the time we got him in Star Wars, he was able to use the Jedi mind trick. Uh, he was able to sneak around real good around the Death Star. Nobody knew he was there. I mean, he was really using it, and people don't realize that him sneaking around the Death Star to do that and get it done. And the only person that knew he was there was another Force wielder, which was Vader. Vader was
Right.
like, "Wait a minute, I feel that. I haven't felt that presence in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I must contemplate." And he walks because he knows there's another Jedi. Now, nobody else, when you think about it, everybody else is oblivious to Obi-Wan sneaking around that Death Star. They don't even know he's there. You
Right.
see him look around the corner, two stormtroopers walk by, and then he walks by. Then he snips. He just creeps in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he told Luke when he got, he said,
Jedi
"Listen, don't
mind
worry
coming
about
around.
me." Yeah, like he's like, "Don't worry, I'll be all right. You guys just go do this. You go get the princess. I'll take care of the shield." And yeah, Han Solo keeps saying, "I hope this old man gets the shield down," and he did.
Right. Big Chef Lebowski, what up?
Big
Yeah,
Chef
man.
Boss.
Oh, I know. Okay, so what I was saying was about the classic identity debate, right? It feels oddly reminiscent of the one that we saw at the in the aftermath of the Rise of Skywalker shit. The end saw Rey claiming to be a Skywalker, apparently a twist planned since before the prequels were begun. Yeah. As Pablo Hidalgo explained in a quote, "The art of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker." For our purposes, the Skywalker is really a metaphor. It doesn't have to be something that is directly connected to blood. And this retcon started exactly the same kind of discussion about what it means to be a Skywalker, and the answer in traditional Star Wars fashion seems to be that it depends on a certain point of view. But the Mandalorian is telling a refreshing diaspora story. So Mandalorians have been scattered across the galaxy, and they're desperately attempting to cling on to their cultural identity, and at a time when they lack a homeworld. So Bo-Katan Kryze sought the Darksaber in hopes that she could exploit its symbolism and use it to unite her people. And in truth, even with the Darksaber, this would be a difficult task. The Mandalorians have always been divided, divisive, very, disinclined from unity, even behind such a powerful symbol as the Darksaber. The Children of the Watch, in particular, will view all their kin, those who have forsaken the ancient ways of Mandalore, as fallen, right? So all the people that Din Djarin is down with are going to see the larger Mandalorian culture as fallen Mandalorians that aren't really Mandalorians, and they'll view themselves as the only Mandalorian remnant, and Bo-Katan and her ilk is unworthy. And then it's fascinating to see Star Wars once again explore themes of identity, because in the case of the Skywalker retcon, it was all done in tie-in mediums, comics and this and that. And in truth, its significance is yet to be fully explored or explained, because there is as yet a shortage of content on post Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, because it made no fucking sense and no one knows where to go with it. But this time the discussion is taking place on Disney Plus's most successful Star Wars TV show, meaning it will be much more protracted and high profile. The Mandalorian season 3 could be one of the most significant discussions of identity in the history of Star Wars, and it could honestly be, well, shit. Season 2 was I think the most significant event in Star Wars since Vader being Luke's father. Like Luke showing up at the end of that Mandalorian was so epic,
that
bro.
was epic. Man, that was epic.
I seen grown ass men boo-hooing like baby girls, bro. Straight up. There's like a whole video montage of fucking just people just crying watching that scene for the first time, of just all these YouTubers that did like these, watch parties and shit, and they just were just like floored. It just rocked them. But here we are, and so we'll see what season 3 brings, but it could be very epic, dude. It could be very epic. It's got big shoes to fill, it's a hard act to follow, but it could definitely be epic. I was talking to remember I said the Tolkien scholar buddy that was going to come on talk about Rings of Power with us is not going to make it today, so he'll be on next week. So he's not coming, but yeah. But Daredevil, the new costume looks pretty fucking dope. Let me see if I can get it up there for y'all, man.
For the show, right?
No. I'm talking about the Daredevil #4 in the comics. Chip Zdarsky. And he's in the latest issue, man. I'm trying to get an image of it for you guys. No, I can't. But as for the show, Daredevil, Charlie Cox made his first major public appearance the other night since returning as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, when Kevin Feige presented Daredevil Born Again to the rabid public at the D23 Expo. So Cox's return was rapturous, man, and was only made better standing next to Vincent D'Onofrio, who appeared for the Echo presentation. So those characters from the Netflix show are coming, but there's been a lot of debate whether Born Again is going to serve as like a fresh start for the franchise, maybe like a reboot, or is it going to be a continuation of where the next Netflix series left off? And during a press line, Cox revealed that Feige had iterated to him that the show would be different and be about new stories and ideas. So Cox went on to affirm this. And so, if you're hoping that this is going to continue the story from Netflix, you're going to be very let down. So, but personally, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. I couldn't care less whether it's new stories or a continuation, just because if it's the same crew, if it's the same people involved, I know it's going to be good, because that show was phenomenal. So, but fans looking to see what happens next following the defeat of Kingpin, Bullseye will be disappointed by this, man. But the decision to do a whole new thing is not really surprising, because as beloved as the cast of the show is, Feige might not share the same feelings about how certain plot points developed, or maybe they don't align with shit that's coming out for the MCU or that's already been out for the MCU or whatever. So at the most, Born Again may likely end up being a soft reboot where, elements like casting are continued and loose ends are just completely ignored. So, but it'll probably take place in like the same place and the same sets and maybe the same actors and all that stuff. But a lot like any new comic run where a new creative team takes over, Born Again situation is essentially the same thing. So you never know, I guess the actors might be all the same, but the creative team behind this might be different. So this might not be anything like the Netflix show, or it could be better, but remains to be seen. But we'll see. But She-Hulk, nearing the halfway mark of its first season on Disney Plus, bringing Jennifer Walters into
remember Reno at the end. Because remember Reno at the end of Daredevil. Just the way the whole thing ended. Like, I would say, I don't know. It kind of got off track a little bit. Daredevil fights the Hand, and everything comes into Hell's Kitchen, and he defends it. They did Bullseye, but I didn't think they did a good job at Bullseye. Thought he could have been done better.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good, but it could have been better, and that's how I always felt about it. So I think they're going to be more comic book accurate, with as far as the costumes and everything else.
I hope so.
The Disney, the Disney, iteration. And I'm with you. I hope so too.
Yeah, it'd be the first time they did fucking do anything comic accurate in the MCU, but but we can always hope. We hope so. It may be more comic booky than the Netflix
story wise,
right.
with costumes and all that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
the way it looks and shit. Yeah. But and She-Hulk, while it has delivered storylines with some big names from Marvel's past, obviously Bruce Banner and Wong, there's a lot of excitement for Daredevil coming, and he's definitely confirmed for his second Phase 4 outing in the MCU in the closing moments of She-Hulk's second trailer. But there's still no signs pointing to what his role in the series is going to be. What's he going to do in She-Hulk? I don't think he was in the last one. I think I saw the last She-Hulk, the most recent one. I think it's up to 4. But his place Marvel's other, prominent lawyer makes his role pretty intriguing because it's got to have something to do with being a lawyer. I mean, obviously. So, but besides the fact that, this is going to be the first time he's going to be suiting up in this Daredevil outfit since he moved over from Netflix, since it was set into stone that Cox would be part of She-Hulk's, cast, a lot of people are wondering, like, how many episodes is he going to be in? Yeah. How much of the episode is he going to be in and shit like that? So,
because remember Jennifer Walters said in the last one, "Oh, this is not a show. We're gonna have a cameo every week and shit, except for Bruce and such and so forth." They said, "Oh, maybe it is." I mean, if it is, it is. We don't care. We're not complaining. Just give us some good stuff, bro. Just give us some good stuff to watch. That's all we ask.
That's it. Stop being so apprehensive and just, stick to the fucking source material. Hello. That's why we're into it. That's why we're watching the shit, because of the source material. Maybe you should fucking. But again, they're just so they don't want to give anyone else credit for their creativity. So that's why they change the content from the comics so drastically in these movies and shows, because the writers and the creators and the Taika Waititis and the James Gunns and all these guys, they want to say, this is my story, this is my show, and look what I did and look how I created. But if they do it straight out of the comic, then they have to also say, well, this is Stan Lee's story or whoever, and they got to give props to the artist that maybe if they keep the costume the same and all this shit. But if they create the new costume and the new storylines and the new characters, then they can take credit for it. What they're not considering, though, is, do you want to take credit for the shit we don't want? That's the shit we hate about it. No one's ever said, what I really love about these movies is that they change so much from the comics. No one has said that. You're not going to hear it.
No.
Dumb statement.
And you know what? Even me, it took me, I ain't going to say a second, but it took me to sit down and listen to a couple interviews and realize that the Marvel MCU is loosely, the lore is based on the comics, but the movies are their own entity. And once I started watching it like that, it was better. Like I had less to complain about. I had way less to complain about. I had way less to critique. You know what I mean? And I said, okay, well, this is the movie version. This is what happened in the movie version. And you got to look at it as if it was the multiverse. And that's just one of the universes in the movie verse is their, what you call it? Peace Lake. Is,
I don't know if he's still here. I didn't catch it. It was probably like 10 minutes ago.
Let me say he rolling out?
Yeah, he said he's bouncing. It was like 8:56. So it's been a few minutes. I didn't see it because I was looking at the other screen.
Okay, yeah, I got 902. Yeah, but once I started watching it like that, I had less to complain about. I mean, do I have my complaints? Yeah, like everybody keeps saying this Thor movie is not a great movie. I get that. But Captain America was good. Ant-Man was good.
Hello.
Right? Why didn't Moon Knight come up so well? He's right. I have no
Exactly,
idea.
bro. Exactly. Because I'll
But
tell
as
you
long
why.
as
Because it was the popularity of Moon Knight that made them decide to do the werewolf show. They would have never just done the werewolf show because, you know what I'm saying? They don't know if
right,
people were going to be into it. But what I was trying to get at was that so we now know how many episodes Daredevils is going to be in and what he's going to be doing in the She-Hulk show. And speaking with Charlie Cox, Variety at the D23 revealed, he said his character is only going to be in one episode, noting how much fun it is to work on the show and the tone was so radically different from what he experienced at Netflix. He actually said, what was really fun about being in She-Hulk for this one episode is that obviously the tone of that show is radically different. And in order for my character to be appropriate for me to be in that show, I had adapt a little bit my Matt Murdock. Because obviously his Matt Murdock is a little more serious than
oh yes, sir, a lot more
what
grimy.
She-Hulk is doing. Yeah. So I guess he hammed it up a little bit. And he's only in one episode. But at its core, this is some disappointing news, I think, because I know a lot of people, are looking forward to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil again in the MCU. And this will mean that all the footage fans have seen thus far from Charlie Cox is all going to come in 1 week, including his flip over Jennifer Walters and his heartfelt conversation with her at the bar that was shown in the mid-season trailer. But that doesn't mean, for a moment that it's a letdown. We don't know because She-Hulk always is meant to focus on Jennifer Walters' evolution as a hero with the heroine's very nature from the comics, throwing her into, play alongside countless other important players from all different Marvel walks of life. And Charlie Cox will simply be yet another important piece to her maturation and journey as a whole, all before, he takes on his own MCU adventures. So just don't look at it as a Daredevil thing. It's just She-Hulk and we'll get to see his costume. That's about it. That's the best we can kind of hope for is we'll get to see the costume. That's probably as cool as it's going to be. But Daredevil Born Again has 18 episodes to make his mark on the MCU's Phase 5. So that is fucking awesome news because all these 6-episode shows are fucking lame. Like, let's get a real show here. So Daredevil's giving us 18 episodes. That's definitely the longest MCU show so far.
Yeah,
that's a lot of episodes. 18 episodes for a Marvel show is a godsend. So obviously, hopefully it's all good, but yeah, it's gonna be good, I think. We didn't see the Loki season 2 trailer. That's the one I wanted to.
Yeah, that's
the one I wanted to show.
Did they show it or no?
Yeah, I'm about to get it right now, so we're gonna watch it here in a second. But you got to talk while I look for it.
All right, yeah. I'm kind of amped to see Loki, man. Shout out to anybody in the chat that is as well. I mean, Loki was good, surprisingly good, and not just surprisingly good. It was definitely overwhelmingly, straight up, originally good. Everything about it, the whole lore, and I think they should have made it a little longer, season wise. Like, we only had a couple episodes, but they were good. They were right to the point, and I hope they do the same thing with this next iteration. And make it good, make it great. Because if they don't, you know what I mean, with Disney's going to be in trouble because a lot of fans are starting to hate the fact that Disney's running the show on a few things. Like Pinocchio. Disney's on this kick where they want to make live action movies out of every one of their cartoons. But if you're going to do it, Disney, make them good. Pinocchio was okay. It was cool, but it wasn't as good as a cartoon.
Right.
So
never mind. I guess that's a false alarm. All these Loki trailers are like a month old.
Already.
Yeah, did I miss season 2 or something? No, these are all fake trailers. I hate that. Just please, just write that it's a fan trailer, please. Right up front.
No, they never do that. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I'll still watch it if I'm interested in watching it, but don't trick me. I'm not gonna fucking think you're cool for that.
Right. Remember
But
the one I hate, you know the one I hate, Reno? And they be promoting that joint too. Screen culture. Oh, I hate screen culture. They will put together a fan made trailer in a hot minute and sell it like it's real.
uh,
I hate that, man. Because it'll pop up on everybody's feed. They're in the algorithm. It'll pop up. It'll be like Thor 5 early trailer release. And you be like, what? This ain't but cut up scenes from all the other Thor. You like, get out of here. So yeah, screen culture. When you see that, clickbait. Roll out. Go do something else with your life.
It ain't no shit. But the Ant-Man and Wasp trailer is out, so we'll definitely look at that here in a second. I found that shit.
Is it? Yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp is that's my shot right there.
Yeah, Quantum
I love those movies. Yeah, I love those movies right now.
Screen culture. Oh, that's the one that does the concepts.
Yeah, they do the fan made joints. Yeah, and they come up, like I said, they're in the algorithm, Reno. You'll be sitting, like you'll punch in something, that'll be one of the first ones that come up. And then you look at it like they were doing Wakanda Forever trailers before the real trailer came out. And when it did, I was like, hold up, this ain't nothing but Black Panther cut up. Oh, come on, man. I was like, nah. And I started watching out for them. When I say screen culture, I don't even do it.
Wow. What in the hell is this? Okay, so the I guess the Ant-Man trailer wasn't one that anybody was able to get, but somebody like filmed it with their camera, their phone.
Sure.
Yeah, so let me
Kicks off phase 5.
all right, let me see if I can share this with you guys. All right. Come on here. What are we doing?
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Kicks off phase 5. We finally get to spend some time in the quantum realm, which is not always really witnessed.
It gets at times a little darker and we move on. And it's happening.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
That's ridiculous bullshit. It's not what I'm talking. That's not a. I hate these bastards. All right, here's another one. Okay, here's the real thing, but you can barely fucking see it. Because I guess, they told people to put their phones away, and it looks like somebody had it like sneaking it down, like one of these, trying to show it. Well, it looks like Kang is in there. Kang. Some dude that's like looks like he's all white. Another dude looks like a ninja. Yeah, there's the all white dude. I don't know, man. Tough to say. Tough to see, I should say. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's not publicly released, so we can't really see it too well.
Somebody's got to pull the phone out, bro. It's never gonna stop.
No,
it's never gonna stop. You say put the phone away, they pull it out.
And they're gonna hide it, sneak it out. But as everyone, as all these, shows come to the platform, I think Loki stands out as one of Marvel's best Disney Plus products by far, and fans are definitely eagerly waiting season 2. And as of the 2023 release date, inches closer, you know, we get more excited, but I think in the final stinger of the season 2 footage, apparently there's a mirror of an iconic scene from the first season that plays out. Mobius and Loki talk over lunch, but this time it's not a vision of Ragnarok conveyed via salad that occupies their conversation. Um, while the scene is clearly intended as a callback for season 1, it also serves as a key reminder of what's changed. The death of He Who Remains has fractured the timeline, so now the locations within the TVA that should be familiar have a different look and carry a different feel than they did before. You know, across the lunch table, Loki references some familiar MCU characters who've had less than stellar opinion of him, and including, you know, the founding Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor. Um, it says Loki says, he says, "I don't want you to think I'm the bad guy in all this." And then Mobius, who was the Owen Wilson guy, he says, "Who says you were?" And then Loki says, "Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, Thanos, Nick Fury, my father, my brother, Miss Minutes, you." And then Mobius is like, Uh, the conversation also serves to convey the journey Loki's undertaken, right? So as fans, you know, will recall the TVA he ended season 1 in was not the one that he remembered. There was the statue of Kang and all that shit had changed. And Mobius didn't recognize him, you know, didn't know who he was. And he attempts to explain, and in doing so references the coming struggle with Kang the Conqueror. Remember, he's like, "It's gonna sound strange. I've been pulled through time and I saw terrible, awful things, and this is about everything because nothing can stand between this world and utter destruction. War is on its way." And the trailer ends with Mobius asking, "A little over the top, don't you think?" And then, you know, to which Loki replies, "I thought it was spot on." And this dialogue is most certainly pulled from another scene, perhaps one where Loki is doing an impression or recalling another story, or perhaps from the segment where the pair, you know, change into classic Hollywood style tuxedos. And from what info has been gathered about season 2 of Loki, especially when combined with how the first season ended, it's clear that even familiar territory will carry an entirely different vibe. And this disconnect between how things are and how they should be is likely to play a key role in the presentation of the narrative, as you know, well as the story itself. But while the MCU has dabbled with this kind of storytelling before, like in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, you know, the very nature of Loki means it's going to be, you know, center stage, and even the main character isn't exactly who the viewers perceive him to be, given that he's a variant and he's not the original Loki that fans followed from Thor until his death in Infinity War. And you know, so where the story will take Loki, Sylvie, the new version of Mobius is really anyone's guess. And though it seems safe to say from the God of Mischief's ominous warning of, you know, the coming war that Kang will loom, you know, heavily over the series. And I hope that we do see or we get some Kang action, you know, some God of, you know, God of Mischief and Kang banter and shit like that. But I think fans can probably expect actual appearances from the villain, you know, to be rare, if they happen at all. Though, as long as there's like, you know, way to go until the final showdown at the end of Phase 6. But you know, I think Kang will likely hang over the trio's head as, you know, as a threat, you know, sort of just beyond sight, but you know, a potent of certain doom, you know, as yet unrealized. And there's some incredible room for storytelling in the tension of a ticking clock, right? Loki introduced viewers to a threat of Kang and kicked open the door to the multiverse saga, basically, you know, so it only stands to reason that the continuation of the series is going to continue to spin that thread of that particular tale. Yeah, for now, though, I think the mysteries of time are gonna remain mysteries. But you know, if you're watching the clock, you've got a ways to go. I think Loki 2 is mid 2023, so it's a ways
Yeah,
out. But
at least.
yeah,
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 yeah. We're not gonna get that for a while. Matter of fact, we won't get another season of Loki before we get another Marvel or two.
right,
I
yeah,
can guarantee. I can pretty much guarantee that.
right.
And we're not counting Thor because nobody's really liking Thor right now. So
Yeah. And speaking of Doom, Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, and Kang. Doom and Kang have some very interesting interactions in the comics. They have some really cool sort of like time traveler, magician, scientist, conqueror to conqueror, and one always thinks he's manipulating and fooling the other, but then you find out really he was fooling him, and then he thinks he was fooling him, but really and so I really hope that they bring these two guys together and not just make it a one big bad Thanos thing, because in the Marvel universe, bro, these villains, they get together. We see this shit all the time. And Doom, please do not kill Doom in the Fantastic Four movie. And if you do kill him, make it known that he's coming back, because Doom he always comes back. That was one of the dumbest things they did in the movie with Doom is they killed him. Like, Doom should definitely always come back, and hopefully we'll get some Doom movies and some Kang movies and some Doom and Kang movies, and then they'll meet up, and then maybe they'll go through a battle, or one will have to join the heroes team or some shit. But I really hope that they link up, and I really hope Doctor Doom makes it past just the Fantastic Four movie, because he's way too cool of a villain, way too big of a character in Marvel for a one and done movie. I mean, it's
oh
Doctor
yeah,
Doom.
oh definitely, yeah.
It's not. I mean, even Kang is nothing compared to Doom. Like, making him the big bad is silly. Like, Doom should be the big bad like, no question.
Doom should be the reoccurring big bad. And they
Yeah.
got, you know what, and they have room to work with Doom, because you could say even if they kill Doom, he can come back in another one and say, "Hey, that was a Doom bot,
That's
wasn't
it.
me."
You
I
can do the
mean,
Doombot thing. There's so much they can do.
you know, Doom can always be there. He can always be that big baddie that's just out of touch. That they always think they got him, but he always gets away. But it's real sly.
Yeah.
DC does it. With
Mhm.
what's his name? Vandal Savage. Vandal
Uh,
Savage is, he can't be killed. I mean, he can be killed, but he's gonna live
right.
forever. But
Right.
Vandal Savage always plays the shadows. He's never You can
Mhm.
never get to him directly, and if you do, he did it on purpose. There was a reason why he made sure you got them on purpose. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he can always be dark side's always in the background somewhere, always lurking, always something.
Right.
Marvel, they can do the same thing.
Yeah. Dark side is more like Doom. Like, Doom he's a magician. He's a master of magic and science.
Yes, he is.
Man, like, you can't fuck with Doom, bro. You really can't.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And no, you can't. No, you can't. I mean, even when he took on Maestro, he wound up getting away. Maestro had him dead to rights, almost beat him, and Doom hit him with some hot shit and got away. And Maestro knew it. Maestro was like, you know what? He got
Mhm.
that off. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
him.
Doom
Maestro was
always
like, I'm gonna get him. Right, I'm gonna get him.
were.
And Doom even said it. Well, I underestimated you on this one, but don't worry, I'll be back.
And Doom's so raw, he'll just, if he's not into no beef or whatever, he's like, I'm running Latveria, and he can kick the Bobo and chop it up with Franklin Richards or Professor X or whatever, just like, like on some Hannibal Lecter type shit. So he ain't he ain't even scared to kick it when he, you know, like most villains will stay hidden until they're doing something. Doom
That's
don't give a
true.
fuck.
Nah, dude don't care. I'm
Give a
like, man,
damn.
listen. Dude like, listen, man, I'm getting down like this today. And if you don't like it,
This is how it is.
it's how it is. I
It's
mean,
just how it is. Oh, so it was something I wanted to talk about the X-Men, because if you're wondering how or why or whatever that they're going to include the mutants in the MCU, all you got to do is look at the new comics, because Marvel, you know, since the MCU blowing up and since over the past few years, instead of the movies being made, you know, about old comics, they'll start to make these new comics, and they'll start putting shit in that they know they're going to put in the movies. That way you can't be like, that's not from the comics, because they just put it in the comics a year earlier. And so right now they're doing Judgment Day. And so it's the Externals, or sorry, the Eternals, the X-Men, and the Avengers. AXE, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals. So the Eternals are pissed off, and I guess kind of that for a lot of reasons, but you know, the mutants being able to bring their dead back to life, and you know, basically, you know, they're kind of, you know, immortal because they can always revive whoever dies and shit. And the Eternals are like, that's our thing, you know, you can't do that. Like, you know, basically they're unkillable. And so that and a whole bunch of other shit. But the deviants, the mutant gene, the X gene, is a descendant of the deviant race, right? You got the Eternals and you got the deviants that the Celestials made. And so the deviants are apparently where the X gene comes from. So all that's being explored right now in the comics. So that's where the mutants are going to come from, the Eternals and the X gene and all that stuff. And so the entire Marvel universe right now has been dragged into the events of Judgment Day. In the comics, a massive crossover that's forcing superheroes and citizens of Earth alike to justify themselves to a powerful new cosmic force. But one unexpected group has already gone above and beyond what anyone's expectations for them were. And the Deviants just gave Earth a major victory in Act's Death to the Mutants #2. Which, you know, helping give the world some serious positive points about the celestial judgment of Earth. On top of that, they may have found a way to make the mutant nation a firm ally, which would benefit both groups immensely in the future, of course. And at the heart of Judgment Day is the newly constructed Celestial, meant to be a possible new god to the Eternals who could help cease the conflict between them and the mutants of Krakoa. Upon the activation of the new cosmic force, the assembled inventors are shocked to discover that it has its own designs for the planet. And specifically, it's holding every living being on the planet in judgment. So if someone has justified their place in the world, they receive a thumbs up. Failure is designated with thumbs down. By the end of the 24 hours, the Celestial will effectively tally all the results and use them to decide the planet's fate, destroying it all if it finds it, you know, the world unworthy. So many notable figures, right? Captain America, Emma Frost, Destiny, Mystique have been found unworthy. If Captain America's unworthy, you know, what hope do we have? And while relatively smaller figures like Cyclops, Kate Pride, and Phastos have actually won its approval. One of the people whose judgment was featured heavily in the story, though, is Crow, the leader of the Deviants. He's a big part of it, and an important commander, you know, within the species. Crow has recently been trying his best to make peace with the subset of Eternals who want to work with the Deviants to create a better future, you know, living in harmony kind of thing. And seeing an opportunity in the Eternals X-Men conflict, Crow and the Deviants quickly established themselves as allies to Krakoa, to the mutants, and even seemed to confirm their shared genetic heritage by walking through the mutant-only Krakoa gates. Because if you're not a mutant, if you don't have the mutant gene, you cannot walk through the Krakoan gates. If you walk through them, you'll just still be standing in the same room. Like it's like an archway, and if you just walk through the archway, nothing happens. But if you're a mutant and you walk through the archway, you're actually walking into the island of Krakoa.
Okay.
The deviant, they're the deviants, they're able to walk through these gates, basically proving that the X gene comes from them. And so when judgment comes for Crow, the head of the deviant, he stands tall against the celestial, and noting that if the celestial is truly better than the rest, it should help the deviants, which gets him a thumbs up. Not only that, but Crow's words seem to carry greater weight than we thought, because as the celestial gives a positive rating to the entire deviant race, increasing the number of worthy by at least hundreds. And it's a huge moment for the planet, and one that could seriously impact the future of every race on Earth. In essence, the deviants just earned a major victory, and ideally could be crucial in tipping the scales towards the survival of Earth. And it could also be a huge step forward for the deviants, who largely spent their lives hiding, or fighting against, the likes of the Eternals. And, with mutants already distrusted by the public, humanity might see a new side to the deviants, who helped earn the planet some serious credit with the Celestial. So even if humanity doesn't see this as a win, it's likely the mutants will be pretty impressed. And the deviants came to the X-Men's aid in a dangerous time and fully threw themselves into the conflict despite the dangers, that it presented. And Crow admits to himself, Emma Frost, and the Celestial that they did so to make the powerful mutant nation an ally, and the deviants have proven themselves to be being a solid partner to them. And this could benefit both, especially if the Eternals continue their war against the deviants and mutants, and could give the deviants a dope new place in the modern Marvel universe. Whereas so to this point, the deviants were nothing. They were nobodies. They were just, trash people, kind of like the Morlocks or whatever. But obviously that's not really, the real truth of it. So, but if you haven't gotten into Judgment Day yet, you're slipping, bro. You're not doing comics right. I'll tell you that right now. So, get on Judgment Day, get on Axe. It's not only a really dope story, but I think it's going to be integral to understanding the mutants in the MCU and what they're going to do with them. So if that's something you're interested in, then this is definitely a dope crossover event for you to check out. I'm just reading the chat, Norin Rads.
Yeah, I haven't read. I bought some of the comics, but I haven't read them yet.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it run. I should. You know what I might do? I might stop getting them and then wait till they bring out either the omnibus or trade paperback, and then just get that and read that instead of just trying to collect them all. Because it's just gonna be too much money.
Yeah, Druig awakens him to slaughter the mutants. And this is the first one right here. It's called Eve of Judgment, and that's number 1, and that's the first little kind of tie-in joint. And then this is number 1. This is Judgment Day number 1, and then it goes next to Immortal X-Men number 5, which is the next part of the story. Then X-Men Red number 5.
X-Men Red, got X-Men.
Now, then it goes to X-Men number 13. Then it goes to X-Men number 14. And then it goes, well, I don't know. In the back of every one of these comics, like on the back,
it tells you the next one. Yeah,
tells you the whole layout, the whole order of the whole thing.
And remember, too, people, it'll say Judgment Day on the cover for that event. So no matter what book it's in, the Judgment Day storyline, the cover will have Judgment Day on the cover. Yeah, like it has right there. Right at the top, if it doesn't say Judgment Day, it has nothing to do with that story arc. I mean, it can still be another comic, right?
Axe, the AXE. You'll see that AXE.
You'll see that too. Yeah.
Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, X. Yeah, but this is the last page. They got sort of like a checklist.
Yes, of all the comics, yep, that you need to
Yeah,
get. That's
yeah.
it. And the
For the
storyline, all the
whole
crossovers.
event. Yeah,
There was a lot, man.
After
And
X-Men.
you got what, like 5 or 6 of them, right?
Yeah, I just got the first little few of them. It's yeah, I got the first 5, the first 6, but it's a lot. Like it's a lot of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 by November. So over the next 3-4 months, there's going to be 31 comics throughout the whole story.
Oh wow.
There's a bunch of them came out in September, a bunch coming out in October.
Yeah, I'm
bunch
definitely
came out in
waiting for
August.
I'm definitely waiting for the omnibus or the or the trade paperback.
Yeah.
I'm definitely.
Yeah, they won't do an Omni because it's not enough. They'll probably do like 5 or 6 trade paperbacks because they're only gonna put 4 issues in each trade paperback.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you still gonna end up having to buy a bunch of
Yeah,
trade
still
paperbacks.
buy a bunch of guys. Yeah.
They might do a big hardcover of the whole story when it's done, but that'll probably be 2 or 3 hardcovers because it's a fucking lot. It's a lot of content.
Yeah, because sometimes it's just easy to do it that way. You know, it's just I don't know. Like Jim met, like he said, he traded in a lot of his comics for omnibus. But when you see his omnibus setup, it's dope. Like I mean, but he did say he can read everything. Like he was like, I can go reference this, or I can read this story. I can go here. I can do this. Instead I gotta look through all the comics.
He's
But,
got all
I
the
get it.
classics and shit.
Yeah. But you're right, they do get expensive. It is a lot of
They're
damn.
like $100 for them shits.
That's a lot of them joints. He got almost all of them. Like
he got a fucking bookshelf from the floor to the ceiling, all the way around the room, all three walls of it, floor to ceiling bookshelf.
And he just bought a new house, so he got a bigger house.
Yeah,
he was in a small room in his house, but now he has a whole basement. He's got a whole man cave.
Yeah,
and so he said that right.
All
so
from
now
YouTube.
He got
all from you, just all YouTube money, bro. He quit his job off YouTube, bro. He's only got like 100-something thousand subs, so we ain't gotta be no million sub channel to quit our jobs, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, you don't, man. You just gotta put in the time. Like he told us when he came on the show, I put in the time. It took me 5 years to build it, but I did it in 5. He said 5 years to get it. It took him 5 years to monetize it, and then the rest was just him, just getting it up to where he can, eat off of it after that.
Right.
But you got to put in the time. Everybody, and it goes back to millennials, Gen Y, Gen Z, all that goes back to that because they want instant gratification. They want to stream. They want to do, and they want to be millionaires in 2 weeks.
Right. They want everything now. Don't nobody want to earn shit no more.
Right. But Jim did the thing. But he got a bigger house. He's doing the damn thing, and he's got room for his arcade. He was telling he's got room for the arcade now because remember he had all that stuff in one small room. He's got room for the arcade, the books, the statues. He said he can buy some bigger statues, some more statues, and do the damn thing.
Yo, I think
everything all right, man. Everything all right, man.
It's a beetle in here.
You getting crept on or something? What's going
on? Yeah, bro. I'm getting crept on, bro. I keep hearing like
buzzing sound.
It sound like. So I'm like, what's walking around over there? It's got to be a beetle or something, bro. Something heavy.
It's
Traipsing
coming
through
for
my
you.
comics or something over there.
Yeah, man. It's over there reading Wolverine and X-Men. It's over there
Word.
reading Wolverine sagas.
I might have to pull out the katana and shit.
Pull out the Nina.
I have to pull out the
Mhm.
storm shadow on him. Ooh, you ain't know I could come behind the chair. Ooh, you ain't know. Sice. Yes, sir. Yeah, you got the Arashikage and shit on it. Yeah, these are dope. Two storm shadow joints.
It's dope.
Yeah. And then what's dope about them is they're not super fully long katanas. They're actually short, so you can pull them, out of your back. Because a full size katana, you can't pull it out your back.
Nah,
'Cause
you
you're
ain't pulling that. Nah.
grab the blade and
Nah.
pull it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I got
Yeah,
some
you got
full size katanas, and they're pretty long. The Ninja 2. Yeah. All right, man. I think we're to the end of our show, no?
yeah, that's about it, man.
That's about it. It's
Yeah,
been
we
fun,
done.
man. It's been real. It was a great show, guys. Thanks for hanging out, man, with us and everybody that's over here. If you just came in, please watch the replay, Ponde replay. We had a great
Yeah.
fucking show. Yeah.
Don't forget to leave a like and a comment.
Please leave a comment. I don't know what it is. People don't comment on our videos. Comments. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're live. I don't know, man, because a lot of people watch the replays. We don't get a
Right,
lot
but
of
they don't
comments.
comment, or we don't get
We
comments. That's true.
would
Yeah,
love
we
more
don't.
comments, y'all. Don't matter what you say. You could just do like Norin Rad right here and throw a peace sign. Don't matter, man. Just give us some content. Comments. I guess it helps the algorithm. So hit them likes, hit them comments, man. Hook us up, and we will always be bringing you the dope content. You know what I'm saying? How we do. And we'll be back here every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to rock out with y'all for a couple hours, chop it up on the newest events of comics and hip hop, films, movies, shows, all that good stuff. So our next show is Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hip hop and comics. Be there. All right, y'all.
Peace.